putting the spotlight on Mayor Bloomberg. Wolf Blitzer is off today. I'm John King. You're in the Situation Room. The capital of Afghanistan is under curfew right now after the worst rioting in Kabul since the fall of the Taliban government. Anti-American anger swept through the city after a U.S. military truck crashed into a crowd of pedestrians. Also today, the worst wave of violence to hit Baghdad in days. Among the targets, an open-air market and a U.S. military convoy being covered by a CBS News crew. All this as Americans mark Memorial Day. President Bush says the United States can honor the war dead in Iraq and Afghanistan by finishing their missions. We begin this hour, though, in Afghanistan. Our Pentagon correspondent Barbara Starr is there with us via video phone from Kabul. Barbara?
Well, John, it has been an extraordinary day here in the capital city of Kabul. Early this morning, a U.S. military convoy was involved in a serious traffic accident with a number of vehicles. Apparently, one Afghan civilian at least was killed, several injured, a number of vehicles involved. And at that point, apparently, violence broke out. The U.S. had tried to render medical aid to the injured, but when the U.S. vehicles then were going to leave the scene after rendering that aid, a riot broke out. According to the video that has now been shown, it's pretty clear what happened. Afghan civilians, angry, began stoning the U.S. military convoy. The U.S. military convoy attempted to leave the area, but the video that has now been seen shows that at least one soldier manning a .50 caliber machine gun on top of a military vehicle apparently fired his weapon into the direction of the crowd of the Afghan civilians. John, that set off a day of violence, rioting, and gunfire across the capital city. As you say, it is the type of violence that has not been seen since the fall of the Taliban. Reports across the city, shops looted, cars set on fire, violence across the city. We here at Camp Eggers, the coalition headquarters in Afghanistan, we were put under immediate lockdown. No one was allowed to leave. So we went up on the roof for most of the day and tracked gunfire across the city. Late in the day, the U.S. military spokesman, Colonel Tom Collins, came out and spoke to the cameras about what had transpired and what some of the next steps will be.
This was a tragic incident, and we deeply regret any deaths or injuries resulting from this incident. Although this incident is very regrettable, the coalition remains committed to working together with the Afghan people to build a better future.
And Afghan President Hamid Karzai tonight, having installed a curfew across the city, is appealing for calm. But it's quite significant that some of the protesters were chanting not just anti-American slogans, but also anti-Karzai slogans. There is a feeling in this country, in some quarters by some people, that Hamid Karzai is too close to the Americans. And many people in this country are increasingly angry. A number of Afghan civilians have been killed inadvertently, of course, in U.S. military and coalition military operations. And people in this country are increasingly angry about that situation. That may have been part of what sparked today's violence. Commanders are going to watch very carefully at sunrise, John. They hope tomorrow will be a peaceful day, but they will be watching very carefully across the city. John.
And Barbara, do those commanders believe this is spontaneous anti-American sentiment causing the rioting, or do they believe these are organized demonstrations by a resurgent Taliban?
Well, at this point, there's no reason to believe that it was some organized Taliban effort per se. But certainly both the Afghan government tonight and the U.S. government believe that there were what they call agitators who stirred up this trouble once it erupted, because it really did spread across the city. What has been going on in Afghanistan, however, is in fact a resurgence of the Taliban in the last several weeks and months. Most of that fighting, John, has been in the southern part of the country, but down there they are seeing groups of Taliban, as many as 100 at a time, That's something they're trying to deal with. That is something they did not expect to see either. John.
Barbara Starr for us in Kabul. Barbara, we'll be back to you later in the program. Thank you very much. It was also a very bloody day in Iraq. Let's go now to our Zane Verjee at the CNN Global headquarters in Atlanta with more on the violence in Baghdad. Zane.
John, dozens of people, at least 50, are dead in a wave of insurgent attacks throughout Baghdad today. In a northern Shia neighborhood, a roadside bomb tore through a bus carrying at least 40 people opposed to the Iranian regime. 13 people were killed. 15 others were injured, some of them critically. Members of an embedded CBS News crew were among 4 people killed when a car bomb struck a military convoy. Correspondent Kimberly Dozier was critically wounded in the blast. Cameraman Paul Douglas and sound tech James Brolin were killed. Also killed were an Iraqi translator and 1 U.S. soldier. The soldier's death brings the official number of U.S. military fatalities in the 3-year Iraq conflict to 2,466. Senate Armed Services Chairman John Warner is promising hearings into charges that U.S. Marines killed as many as 24 civilians last November in the Iraqi city of Haditha and then tried to cover it up. On Sunday, Warner cautioned against a rush to judgment. Top military brass say investigations got underway as soon as the incident came to light.
There are 2 ongoing investigations. One investigation has to do with what happened. The other investigation goes to why didn't we know about it sooner than we knew about it. To my recollection, the first we knew about it back here in D.C. was around the 10th of February, and the very next day is when the investigations began.
General Pace appeared today on CNN's American Morning, and John, one report from ABC News says at least 7 Marines could face criminal charges.
Zane, thank you very much, and we'll have a live report on that alleged massacre next hour in the Situation Room. Zane, thank you. President Bush says Americans have seen the cost of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, and nearly 300 troops killed in those conflicts are buried in Arlington National Cemetery, where Mr. Bush marked this Memorial Day. Here's our White House correspondent, Suzanne Melbo. Suzanne.
Well, John, as you know, President Bush is facing increasing pressure to show some sort of progress in Iraq. He is also facing increasing number of Americans who are skeptical that this U.S. mission in Iraq was worth it to begin with. Well, President Bush made the case today that the best way to honor the fallen is to actually honor the mission itself, why we went to war in the first place. President Bush today making the case it was to bring democracy and freedom to the Middle East.
President Bush paid tribute to America's fallen with the traditional wreath laying at the Tomb of the Unknowns and remarks at Arlington National Cemetery.
I'm in awe of the men and women who sacrificed for the freedom of the United States of America.
Before the ceremony, Mr. Bush signed a bill that bars demonstrators from disrupting military funerals by restricting access.
Hey, you crossed the line!
The law is largely in response to scenes like this. Some military funerals disturbed by protests from an anti-gay church group. This Memorial Day tribute is perhaps the president's most public recognition of the war dead. Mr. Bush does not attend funerals for U.S. soldiers killed in combat, but instead privately sends letters and meets with families of the fallen after public events. The White House says the meetings tend to be very emotional. It's one of the only occasions the president allows his schedule to run late. The White House says Mr. Bush keeps his condolences out of the spotlight, out of respect for the family's privacy.
I understand what it means to have troops in harm's way. And I know there's a lot of families making huge sacrifices here in America.
But critics charge that the administration is just trying to hide the human cost of the war. Presidential historians say Mr. Bush's behavior follows a custom carried out by many of his predecessors.
It is a delicate balancing act. You want to give the families comfort, speak to them in ways that encourage them to believe that the sacrifice of their loved ones was worth it, and yet at the same time he does not want to be out there in the public, both for reasons of delicacy and because it's, so to speak, bad public relations for the war.
And Americans right now are looking for a clear exit strategy, at least a timetable for withdrawal of U.S. troops, but administration officials today saying, of course, they believe that would be premature. John?
Suzanne Melbo at the White House. Suzanne, thank you. And on this holiday, fallen servicemen and women are being honored all around Washington and across the country. Veterans gathered at the Vietnam Memorial, where 4 more names were added to the wall just this past week. New Yorkers gathered at the USS Intrepid Sea, Air and Space Museum for a Memorial Day wreath laying and ceremonial flyover. And in New Orleans, a different kind of holiday ritual. About 150 people gathered in the lower Ninth Ward to honor those killed in the Hurricane Katrina disaster.
Lord.
Congress is on its Memorial Day recess, but there's no break from the controversy over that FBI raid on a Democratic congressman's office. Now, the focus is on the Senate Majority Leader, Bill Frist. He's had a surprising turnaround on whether the raid crossed a constitutional line. Here's our congressional correspondent, Dana Bash. Dana?
Well, John, the bipartisan demand last week that the Justice Department return all the materials they seized from a Democrat's congressional office caused a heated debate inside the administration, an unprecedented schism that resulted in the Attorney General, one of the president's closest confidants, threatening to resign. Now, tempers may have cooled there, but now there's a split within the GOP leadership on Capitol Hill.
The Senate Majority Leader was the first GOP leader to publicly raise questions about the unprecedented FBI raid on a congressman's office.
Yes, I'm concerned because it does involve the Constitution.
And as the House Speaker led the battle against the Bush Justice Department last week, Senator Frist continued to side with Dennis Hastert.
The whole idea of separation of powers does need to be addressed. So I remain concerned.
But then a stunning reversal. Senator Frist now says he's okay with the FBI search.
There is no individual in the House or Senate that can be or should stand above the law. It's a matter of how the law enforcement is carried out, and I think it is appropriate as I see it today.
Frist says his change of heart came after the Attorney General spent an hour in his office Friday walking him through the facts of the case. But to his critics, it's the latest example of Frist changing with the political winds. They see a senator more worried about presidential ambition than any constitutional principle. The Majority Leader's switch came as more rank-and-file Republicans complained the leadership was sending the wrong message.
I don't believe that any congressman has any special privileges greater than Americans do. They're American citizens who can be searched in this same manner.
Speaker Hastert still maintains the raid crossed a line, and the internal GOP brawl is seen by many as a major political fumble. This conservative blog, for example, posted and mocked lengthy House GOP talking points, saying they turned what should have been a story about a Democrat allegedly taking bribes into a scandal about GOP leadership in the House trying to put itself above the law.
And a senior Frist aide insists his change in position was not meant to advance his own White House ambitions for 2008, but rather the GOP Congress's prospects in 2006, realizing, the aide said, quote, Republicans need to win, and the constitutional showdown with the White House was not helping. John.
Okay, Dana, as we try to sort out Bill Frist's motivation, this issue's not going away. There will be a hearing on this issue tomorrow in the House, right?
That's right. The House Judiciary Committee, the chairman, James Sensenbrenner, is having a hearing, and I can tell you, you could get his position just from the title. Reckless justice. Did the Saturday night raid of Congress trample the Constitution? That's going to be tomorrow. Nobody from the Justice Department. It's just going to be some experts on this issue. But certainly as Republicans, especially the Speaker, wants to move on, this is going to keep it going because, of course, nothing else is happening on Capitol Hill tomorrow.
A bit easier to figure out Chairman Sensenbrenner than it is Leader Frist. Dana Bash, thank you very much. And Dana Bash and Suzanne Malveaux, part of the best political team on television. CNN, America's campaign headquarters. A report from the Associated Press today says that Senator Harry Reid accepted free ringside tickets from the Nevada Athletic Commission to 3 pro boxing matches. All this while that state agency was trying to influence the Senate Democratic leader on federal regulation of boxing. Senate ethics rules generally allow for lawmakers to accept gifts from federal, state, or local governments, but warn against taking such gifts when they may be connected to any effort to influence senators. The senator's office today defends the gift, saying, quote, when a Nevada senator who's a former boxer attends a major Nevada sporting event with the state agency he's working with to protect the Nevada industry, that's called doing his job. Time now for our Jack Cafferty, who's always doing his job. Jack joins us now from New York. Hey, Jack.
Hi, John. I'm not sure what to make of that Harry Reid thing. While a lot of Americans barbecue and hit the stores looking for sales on this Memorial Day, it's probably worth taking a moment to remember what the day is supposed to be all about. The meaning of the holiday was not lost on a 13-year-old New York girl. She won a contest for writing letters to American troops. Fatima Faisal wrote, quote, I give you great respect because you had a choice to join the military, and because of your bravery and courage, you decided to join. Several soldiers from Fort Drum were at the ceremony to honor Faisal today and over the weekend, and one of them was so appreciative of what she wrote that he gave the young girl the Purple Heart he received for injuries he sustained in Iraq. Staff Sergeant Philip Trackey said that the children's letters meant a great deal to the troops, and by giving his medal to the girl, it was a big way of giving something back. So here's the question. If you could talk to our troops this Memorial Day, what would you say to them? Email your thoughts to CaffertyFile@CNN.com or go to CNN.com/CaffertyFile, and we'll share a few about a half hour. John?
It's a wonderful story, Jack. Every now and then it's nice to just smile. Thank you, Jack. And coming up, the desperate situation in Indonesia following a very deadly earthquake. Survivors are running short of vital food and supplies. Our report up next. Plus, this Memorial Day, my wide-ranging interview with one of America's most famous veterans, Senator John McCain. And later, new developments in the next race for the White House. Donna Brazile and Babe Buchanan join me for today's strategy session.
Is it possible to engineer desire? An entirely new ES, the Lexus ES 350.
Last year, Norfolk Southern and its shipping partners took hundreds of thousands of freight loads off the highway. In fact, they've invested millions to convert even more traffic in the coming years. So it's easy to see how the economy won't be the only thing that benefits. Norfolk Southern, the future of transportation.
I'm Pete. I've had nice bosses, mean bosses, short bosses, tall bosses, she bosses, he bosses, they bosses, serious bosses, nervous bosses, and one kind of funny boss. Now I'm the boss, and my plan is to keep the boss happy.
You do what you love. We'll help you keep your investments on track. Fidelity Retirement Income Advantage. Call 1-800-FIDELITY. Smart move.
Elizabeth Taylor, a Larry King Live exclusive. CNN tomorrow. International icon, legendary survivor Elizabeth Taylor. Only on Larry King Live.
I'm just gonna get some fresh tomato and basil for my bruschetta. Ooh, look how fresh you are. Ooh, they're gonna love you. Come here, my beauty.
This week at Albertsons, save on fresh, long, tender ears of sweet corn, only 19 cents each. Boneless, skinless chicken breasts, just $1.49 a pound. And 12 packs of Coca-Cola beverages, buy 4 for just $10 and get the 5th one free. Here I come! Albertsons, helping make your life easier.
The Sopranos are back. One of the boldest, baddest, best shows to ever hit TV. Only one thing could make it better. High definition from Comcast. This season, upgrade your experience of The Sopranos. See the best with the best. Sundays at 9 on HBO HD. Get the best in television, The Sopranos, and Comcast digital cable with high definition.
Body Parts, an all-new CNN presents Saturday and Sunday night, 8 Eastern.
Relief from all over the world has begun to trickle into Indonesia's earthquake zone. But survivors of Saturday's magnitude 6.3 quake in central Java say that aid is arriving far too slowly. Thousands of people were killed, tens of thousands displaced. Many are hurt. CNN's Dan Rivers is in the devastated region where the sheer numbers of injured are taxing resources to their limits and beyond. Dan?
Well, John, the second phase of this massive aid effort is now getting underway. The airport here is now being reopened and the aid is beginning to come in. But there is clearly a dire situation at the main hospitals. I have been up to one of them in Yogyakarta, and the really most awful, harrowing scenes. There are clearly people desperately in need, and many of the people, the thousands of people who have come into the hospital, have the most horrific injuries.
In the chaotic aftermath of this earthquake, the local hospital is a living hell. Every single piece of floor is occupied by injured survivors waiting for treatment. Corridors and walkways choked with hundreds of patients, many of whom have not seen a doctor yet. Some are now being evacuated to other Indonesian provinces, ferried past those who've been waiting for days. We were sleeping when the house collapsed and I managed to protect my wife from the falling debris, says 35-year-old Hartando. He has a nasty leg fracture, there are no painkillers, and he's been waiting out here for 2 days. Help is on the way. But for those writhing in agony, enduring operations without anaesthetics, it can't come soon enough. Awful scenes at the hospital. There clearly is a need for more medical supplies. At the moment, on a broader sense, the World Food Programme is beginning to bring things in. They're trying to set up a 2-month feeding programme where they're hoping to feed 80,000 people in the first month and 50,000 in the second month. They're hoping that will be enough to help these survivors back onto their feet. There are also huge amounts of shelter coming in the form of tarpaulins, tents, lots of equipment like cooking equipment, stoves, food. So there is a big international effort with 29 countries having pledged help. But obviously this is an incredible trauma for the people of this region and one in which the suffering is continuing at the moment, John.
Dan Rivers in Indonesia. It's a horrible story. And for more on the relief efforts in Indonesia, let's bring in our internet reporter, Abby Tatton. Abby.
John, the first airlifts of emergency supplies from UNICEF came to the region this morning. More will follow tomorrow. The UN Children's Agency is bringing water, sanitation to those hospitals that the agency reports are overwhelmed. Some aid agencies already had workers in this region. That was because of a different threat. Oxfam, for example, had a small team and supplies there because of Mount Merapi. This is a volcano nearby which has been rumbling for weeks. That threat has not gone away. That volcano has been 3 times as active since Saturday. Other aid agencies are saying, as well as the medical supplies that are needed and the water, there's an urgent need for temporary shelter. Mercy Corps is sending tents. All of these organizations are appealing for donations. You can find all the links at CNN.com. John.
Thank you, Abby. And you can help the relief effort. Donations can be made to the Red Cross at 1-800-RED-CROSS or at redcross.org. Also try 1-800-4UNICEF or on the web at unicefusa.org. Coming up, this Memorial Day finds U.S. forces once again on the front lines in Afghanistan and Iraq. But did the Bush administration send enough troops to get the job done? I'll ask Senator John McCain when we return. Plus, the battle over immigration. How much is Senator McCain willing to bend to come to agreement with the House? Find out next. You're in the Situation Room.
I hate health food. So I go traveling all over the world looking for newer and tastier ways to make healthy foods for Kashi. I believe that because I love food, it's important that it also tastes good. This ain't it. Good nutrition can change people's lives, but only if they'll eat it. Salud.
Kashi. 7 whole grains on a mission.
Designed to captivate. Designed to illuminate. The luxury sedan designed to outperform. The M from Infinity.
eLoan's loan consultants don't make money based on the rate of your loan, so you get the rate you deserve. No wonder home buyers are so excited about eLoan. That's just one of the revolutionary ways we're changing the lending industry. eLoan. Radically simple.
We were doomed at Bournemouth till he led us on that charge. That forever changed the war.
He was America's first action hero. Washington, the warrior, as only the History Channel can bring you. Check your local listings.
can't read this. Can you read this?
I can't read this.
What's wrong with this?
It's in black and white.
Black and white's what's wrong with this?
It should be in color.
That is better. How'd you do that?
Xerox Color. It makes business sense.
Are you getting enough fiber in your diet? To get the 25 to 30 grams of daily fiber you need for ongoing good health, what else would you have time for? That's why there's great tasting Fiber Choice, the chewable fiber supplement. Each bottle contains 180 grams of fiber. You'd need more than 3 bottles of fiber pills at 3 times the price to get the same amount. And try new Fiber Choice Plus Calcium with as much calcium as 14 ounces of milk in each dose. Fiber Choice, original and new Plus Calcium chewable tablets.
Closed captioning provided by Head On. Should I know about Head On?
Head On. I just bought Head On at the drugstore. What's Head On? You've never heard of Head On? Should I know about Head On? Head On is available without a prescription at retailers nationwide.
A live picture there of visitors to the Vietnam Memorial on this Memorial Day. And on this Memorial Day, when so many U.S. troops are risking their lives right now, some Americans perhaps have greater insight than others into war, remembrance, and sacrifice. Senator John McCain is a leading player in a number of hot political debates here in Washington. He earned his credentials on military issues the hard way as a Vietnam veteran and former prisoner of war. Senator John McCain, thank you very much for joining us today. Let me just start with this very basic question. What does Memorial Day mean to Senator John McCain?
What it does to most Americans, we remember those who have served and sacrificed and those who have made us a nation we are and the ability to live in the freest and most noble nation on earth. And in my personal case, obviously, it reminds me of some of my dear friends and who I love so much who made that sacrifice. And, you know, it makes me very sad sometimes, but it also makes me very proud at the same time.
Other young Americans are serving in Iraq and Afghanistan right now, and they are paying the ultimate sacrifice. And it, of course, is the subject of the political debate here in the United States. Why we went to war, whether it has been a worthy war. I want to read you something that the Defense Secretary Donald Rumsfeld told our Larry King the other night, and I want your reaction on it. Secretary Rumsfeld said, people run around saying, well, you sent less troops than the generals wanted. That's just utter nonsense. It's not true. You, sir, Senator McCain, have said they sent too few troops. How would you answer that?
Well, there's many books have been written, many respected individuals who were part of that operation have testified. There's no doubt there was too few troops there, and it was a classic and fundamental error that we paid very heavily for. So, I mean, there's just no doubt about it, and it's unfortunate. Mistakes are made in wars, and this was a big mistake, and I hope that we can go ahead and press on and prevail anyway, because we can't afford to lose. And I do think some of the things we've been doing recently have been successful.
As you know, there's a very troubling investigation going on into possible horrible conduct by some Marines in the Iraqi town of Haditha. There's preliminary findings of a massacre of some civilians. I'm wondering what you know, sir, about that investigation and just what goes through your mind when you hear things like that.
All I know for now is what I've read in the media. There's going to be more information forthcoming soon, and I'm sure that we will have a hearing in the Armed Services Committee on it. Apparently it's true. We don't know the details. It saddens you enormously. It reemphasizes the absolute requirement for discipline in the military. First emotion one has when you see a comrade die is to seek revenge. That's a natural human instinct, but we have to have the discipline in our military and the leadership not to do that. I'm glad General Hagee, the Commandant of the Marine Corps, went over to Iraq to talk to his Marines. I hope that if this is indeed the case, which apparently it is, that we will be able to move on, recognizing that this will have some harmful repercussions in the world of public opinion.
Senator, if the Republicans lose control of either the House or the Senate or both this November, do you believe the reason will be the unpopularity of the Iraq War?
I think that'd be one of the reasons. I think our failure to get spending under control, which has alienated one of our strong Republican pillars. I think these indictments that are happening, I think that our failure to address some of the problems that affect the American people, at least in their view, has led to their low opinion of us. But I want to emphasize, John, 6 months is a long time. There's a lot of good things we can do. Pass an immigration bill, have the president veto these big spending pork barrel projects, and get on a credible energy policy. There's a lot of things we can do to turn things around between now and November.
Let's talk about that immigration bill. You were a fan, a sponsor, a backer of the Senate bill. It's now making its way to the House for the conference negotiations. Your colleague, your Republican colleague from Arizona, Senator John Kyle, says the Senate has approved a bill that is critically flawed and doesn't go far enough to secure our borders. One of the Republican House members from your home state, J.D. Hayworth, is saying the American people see through the White House spin. They know amnesty when they see it. The president's plan is amnesty. Are you going to get a bill this year?
I believe so. I believe that voices of understanding and appreciation, that one thing that those critics that you just quoted agree with me on, and we're all in agreement on, is that the system is broken and must be fixed. And by the way, we are taking serious steps to beef up the border in every respect.
Senator, excuse me for interrupting, but a majority of the Senate Republicans voted against this plan. If I'm a House conservative and I do not like this guest worker program, I believe it is amnesty, what is my incentive to compromise? A majority of the Republicans said no in the Senate. Why should a majority of the Republicans now say yes in the House?
Well, one reason is the President of the United States is deeply committed and gave a speech to the nation that was approved by an overwhelming majority of Americans. Almost between 70 and 75% of American people support earned citizenship in poll after poll. We should respond to the American people. Third of all, we are willing to sit down and seriously negotiate with our House counterparts. And maybe from a Republican standpoint, us going into the November elections without having an agreement on this issue and passing legislation could not be helpful.
Would you accept a guest worker program that allows the workers to stay and have legal status in the United States, but does not give them a path to citizenship? To get citizenship, they would have to leave the country and then get in line.
I believe that every proposal should be on the table. There are new ideas coming up all the time within the parameters of the major issues that face us, and I would not reject any proposal out of hand. Do I agree with that proposal right now? Of course not. That's why we passed a different method. But I'll sit down and talk with anybody. If we should go into these negotiations with respect for one another and with a goal in mind of fixing a problem we all agree exists and exists terribly.
You are someone who has at times, this is my term, not yours, but called your colleagues somewhat spoiled and that they want the perks of these earmarks to set aside spending and the like. There's a big debate now about whether it was appropriate for the FBI to search a congressional office, and there's a lot of howling, even from Republican leaders, saying this violates a constitutional line. It's a separation of powers. If the FBI can serve a search warrant at my house or your house, why can't it serve a warrant at your office?
You make a good point, John. What I think probably should be a reasonable solution to this would be for the FBI to call the majority leader and the speaker and the Democrat leader and inform them that their intentions and why. I think they could safely do that. And if it happened over here on the Senate side with the majority leader and the Democrat leader, I think maybe we could work out a process where the leadership was notified. But if someone is, in all due respect, if someone there's strong evidence that someone has committed a crime, I don't think you could justify some kind of sanctuary.
If you're the average Joe in, say, Des Moines, Iowa, or Manchester, New Hampshire, they just random cities I picked out of my brain, and you see these members of Congress complaining about this, saying you can't search my office. What do you think normal people out in the country think when they hear that?
I don't know, John. I don't know what they think, but we should have a very simple system where if someone is in this country, there's no such thing as sanctuary. I do understand a concern that legislators may have about random searches and, overreach by agencies of the executive branch. I think that's a legitimate concern.
Senator John McCain, thank you for joining us in the Situation Room, and a happy Memorial Day to you, sir.
Thank you. Same to you.
And up next, much more on the battle between the branches. What's the political fallout? I'll ask our two experts, Donna Brazile and Babe Buchanan. And from the front lines of the war in Iraq to the somber duty of honoring those lost in the fighting. Next hour, a look behind the scenes at Arlington National Cemetery.
What do you think cars will be running on in the future?
Grass, leaves, trees, garbage.
Hydrogen fuel cells.
Give me that solar car, I'm there.
We need to really be conscious of what we're putting into our cars, just like we put into our bodies, and we need to make that shift that, well, what we're doing is really messing things up. We need to make that change.
They can make you rich or poor. They're your customers. So in our business, we don't just create games, we create a bond and hope someone will treat us the same way.
Open Arms. It's how Jen and Julie approach their customers. And while during peak season, we raise their credit line overnight. Open. How American Express serves small business.
Paul! Hey.
Oh, hey.
Here for your mortgage.
Actually, I'm using LendingTree instead.
Oh, you are? Why?
Well, they have banks competing, so their rates beat the national average.
We've been your bank for years. You can't just walk away.
Oh, I'm not. Since your bank is part of the LendingTree network, you can compete over me too.
What?
And I want you to know, I'll be pulling for you. Good luck, buddy.
Join the 18 million people getting a better loan at LendingTree. When banks compete, you win.
Than just a washing machine. The LG Steam Washer refreshes clothing and reduces wrinkles with the rapid power of steam. Surprising as, fresh as, innovative as LG. LG, life's good.
Designed to captivate. Designed to illuminate. The luxury sedan designed to outperform. The M from Infiniti.
Outspoken, defiant, the Dixie Chicks. CNN Wednesday, their first live primetime interview since they set fans off by taking on the president. The Dixie Chicks take your calls, only on Larry King Live. CNN Wednesday, 9 Eastern.
Today in our strategy session, Senate Majority Leader Bill Frist now says he's comfortable with the search of a Democratic congressman's office. Is this a major change from his original position? And does this put him at odds with other fellow Republican leaders? On the House side, joining us, CNN political analyst and Democratic strategist Donna Brazile and Babe Buchanan. She's president of the American Cause. Let's start by listening to Senator Frist, who was the first member of the leadership to come out and say he had concerns about the FBI raiding Democrat William Jefferson's office. Just yesterday, Senator Frist said this.
After discussions with the DOJ, Department of Justice, after discussions with my staff, with discussions with the legal counsel, very comfortable that this is not a separation of power issue, that there is no individual in the House or Senate that can be or should stand above the law.
Babe Buchanan, he went from very concerned to very comfortable.
You know, unfortunately, Senator Frist has a habit of doing this. He takes 2 or 3 positions, usually on any one issue. That's what he's been doing for the last several months now. I think he made a mistake here. He would have been wise just to not say anything further, say, you know, the president did a smart thing. Let's just take a look at the thing carefully, get the experts on it, have the hearings. Because right now he is trying to get the House of Representatives to work with him to get an immigration bill. And so what does he win by insulting them, taking his back of his hand, slapping him up against the leadership of the House? I think Hassert and the boys are going to be mad as could be that he took this position, less likely to work with him.
Are you sending these guys money, flowers, candy, whatever they want? They could have easily said they raided a Democratic congressman's office because he had $90,000 in his freezer. This affidavit says he accepted bribe money. Instead, this has become a story about the Republicans.
Well, there's no question. Senator Frist backpedaled on his original position, and the House leadership will not back down on their position, and they believe that this is an issue of separation of powers. And I think the hearing tomorrow will demonstrate whether or not they have some grounds to continue to, voice their objections to the White House. While the president has sealed these documents, what's going to happen with these documents in 45 days? And I think members have a right to be worried. At the same time, I understand how, the average Joe and Jane out there in America is saying, look, they can come in and raid my house. Why not the House of Representatives?
Well, let's strip it away then. Let's set aside legitimate legal questions and then the political circus among the Republicans right now. This is about a Democratic congressman in a year when the Democrats had hoped to run against a Republican culture of corruption. Is Bill Jefferson baggage for the party right now?
This is not about one individual, because if it was, we would be talking about Cunningham, and we can talk about Ney and Mr. Lewis and so many other on the Republican side.
Makes it harder to talk about them when you have this.
Oh, no, not when you have the institution itself, not when you have the oil and gas companies writing the energy bill, not when you have the credit card companies writing the bankruptcy bill. This is what the culture of corruption is about. It's about money, influence, and the fact that the special interest has taken over the people's house.
This is absolutely does damage to their argument that this is the culture of corruption. The Republicans have this problem. Clearly, the culture of corruption exists in this town, and it affects both parties. They now have at least two congressmen under investigation, not just Mr. Jefferson. And so it does suggest that it happens to both sides, and that's what the American people, if you look at the polls, show. They don't trust Congress as a whole. They are very concerned that this does indeed impact both sides.
Let's look at another poll and jump ahead. We'll see how the culture of corruption plays out in this campaign. Let's jump ahead to the one after that, 2008. I want to show you a new ABC News poll taken just last week. Could you support Hillary Clinton for the 2008 presidential bid? 19% say they definitely could. 38% say maybe. 42% say no way. They'll never support Hillary Rodham Clinton. Donna Brazile, you're the Democrat. You go first. What's that mean?
It doesn't mean a thing. Look, 5.5 years ago, look all of the people in New York who said no way they would support Hillary Clinton. Today, she's more popular than ever. 70% of the people up in New York support her. She's going to launch her campaign for re-election in 2006. Just this week in Buffalo, she'll receive the nomination. Mrs. Clinton is a strong candidate. She's been an effective senator. If she decides to run for president, she will be very tough to beat.
You know, if I were Hillary or her people around her, I would say just exactly what Donna said. I'd say, look, this is not to worry. The first part of our game plan is to win the nomination. Polls all change when you only have two candidates. Let's see what happens. We've got plenty of time. If I were the leaders of the Democratic Party, I'd be looking at that 42% real carefully and seeing where it goes from there.
Well, let's flip over to the man many think, at least at this point, is the presumptive favorite on the other side. Same poll. Could you support Senator John McCain for the 2008 presidential bid? Definitely 9%, maybe 57%, no way 28%. Not a tiny number, but smaller than Hillary Clinton's. John McCain?
Well, you know, again, John McCain, 28%, I think is probably a pretty good number when you look at it. If he's looking at it, he sees real opportunity here. But, if John McCain wins that nomination, I know a lot of people that might vote for Hillary. So everything will change then, won't it?
The biggest gap for Mrs. Clinton is white men. She has a huge problem among white men. How does she fix that?
Well, easy, by talking about issues that impact all Americans, especially working Americans. I don't think that gap will exist, again, if she decides to run for president.
Now, you're on the other side, but she is going to the state convention in New York this week. Many view her Senate race as a stepping stone. What should she say?
Her message should be an upbeat, positive one. She's clearly got that. She's going to win up there. She's going to win big, it looks like. And so I think she should start appealing to the nation. This should not just be about New York. It should be about the nation and where she's taking it. Somewhat leadership. I think she should begin the groundwork, in essence, for appealing back, see if she can appease some of these white males. But there's no question that will be her problem 2 years from now.
You remember her husband had the Sister Soldier moment where he took issue with one wing of the Democratic Party. He picked a fight on purpose to prove he was different. Does she need to pick a fight?
I don't think so. I think it's important that she continues to be consistent on Iraq, that she's consistent on domestic issues, and if she's consistent on both foreign policy and domestic issues, she'll be able to bring back white men. But look, we forget about white women in this battle because they are the majority voters in this country, and there are so many single, unmarried white women who would be attractive to a candidate like Hillary Clinton, who talk about health care, talk about jobs, talk about kitchen table issues. So I think she will be a very strong candidate.
And then the white man, she talks about those things. The white men are going to leave her even bigger numbers.
last time she spent a lot of time talking about health care, the Republicans took both chambers of Congress.
I hope
that was before the health care costs been rising and so forth. So.
All right. Donna Brazile, Babe Buchanan, thank you very much, especially for coming in on a holiday.
Sure.
We thank you both. And Donna Brazile and Babe Buchanan, part of the best political team on television, CNN, America's campaign headquarters. Coming up, the Justice Department is trying to shoot down 2 lawsuits over the government's collecting of your phone calls. We'll tell you why when we get the situation online. And a very bloody day in Iraq. Next hour, former Defense Secretary William Cohen joins me right here in the Situation Room.
Does a promise come with an expiration date? Is it good for a month, a year, or decades from now? At New York Life, we make promises that have no expiration date. Promises that are built on the timeless values of financial strength, integrity, and humanity. Promises that we live by. So no matter how the world changes around you, New York Life is the company you keep.
This is the preschool of the VFW's National Home for Children. This is the chapel, and these are the houses. Founded in 1925 as a community for the orphans of our fallen soldiers, the National Home continues to serve the needs of our military families. So in honor of Memorial Day, Buick, Pontiac, and GMC are joining together to donate $100 to the National Home for every car and truck we sell from now through May 31st. If you're at all serious about getting a new car, this would be a good time to do it.
UPS, covering more ground faster than ever.
Washington's nature is to fight and to win.
Who is with me?
He was America's first action hero. Washington, the warrior, as only the History Channel can bring you. Check your local listings.
Just listen to that. Peace and quiet. You can't get that in the city.
You've got to do something about that dog.
Through June 4th, buy any bag of pet food priced $20 or more and get a $10 Tractor Supply gift card.
In this modern world of super technology, you know what really gets under my skin? When a wireless network. So I switched to Cingular's all-over network, the network with the fewest drop calls. And Cingular didn't say that. The leading independent research company proved it. So if you keep... and get Cingular.
Cingular, with the fewest drop calls, raising the bar.
If it's up to the Justice Department, the public will never learn details about the NSA's controversial eavesdropping program. The government is asking courts across the country to toss out lawsuits challenging that program. Let's get the latest move now from our internet reporter, Abby Tatton. Abby?
John, if it's up to the government, these lawsuits will be thrown out. Back in January, the Center for Constitutional Rights in New York sued the government, alleging that the NSA intercepted its privileged attorney-client communications, and now the Director of National Intelligence, John Negroponte, has weighed in with this declaration. What he says is if the litigation is allowed to go ahead, it could do grave damage to national security. He's seeking to dismiss this lawsuit, saying that it relates to state secrets. The Department of Justice is also seeking to dismiss another lawsuit, that one filed by the ACLU also earlier this year. Now, it's not the first time we've seen this kind of move by the government. There's a class action lawsuit going on behalf of AT&T customers. On that one, the Justice Department is also seeking to stop it, and there's a hearing on that one due next month. John?
Abby, thank you very much. And coming up, as we mark Memorial Day, we asked, if you could talk to our troops, what would you say to them? Our Jack Cafferty has your answers up next.
Next on America Uncovered, where have all the wrinkles gone? Where are the worry lines? Cosmeceutical companies who prosper from fixing wrinkles are concerned. And they're blaming Swedish automaker Volvo.
Volvo's
cars make people feel too safe and worry-free.
Volvo's invitation to visit your local retailer for the current model year-end sales event with attractive lease offers can only make things worse. Officials at Volvo had no comment.
An incredible Memorial Day show. Animals take a bite out of crime. Real-life pet detectives. Nancy Grace, Headline Prime. Tonight, 8 Eastern.
Say, Portland, we're back out at Mattress World for the giant Memorial Day sale. I'm with Sherry and John Heiner, owners of Mattress World. And it's going to be going on all weekend long till 6 p.m. Monday. John, kick it off with a great bargain.
Hey, we've got all kinds of deals, starting with $89 each piece, twin, full, queen, or king. When you buy the set, it is an awesome value.
Where the competition's going crazy on that one. And Sherry, you've got a special.
Yes, we have a Sealy firm plush or pillow top queen set for just $3.99.
It's a Sealy, and when you buy the set all weekend long, 6 p.m., $3.99. John, great selection. We look around here.
Largest selection in the Northwest by far. Sealy Simmons, Posturepedic Beauty Rest, Carrington Chase, Comfortpedic, Englander, Stearns & Foster, you name it, we have it, and we're clearing out all the 06 Posturepedics right now.
All weekend long, 6 p.m. Monday, Sherry Financing.
No interest, no payments for 1 full year.
You cannot beat it. It's the giant Memorial Day sale at Mattress World. Where?
It's not too late to sleep like a baby.
Hello, my name is Ted Papas, and over 30 years, you've given me the opportunity to entertain you and your families. Come on in, join us. We've earned the title Landmark. Through the passing of time, we've served millions of meals, celebrated thousands of special occasions, and cracked boxes and boxes of ouzo. With you, our friends. Join us and celebrate life. Opa! Next time you go dining, just think the Greek.
Are you
On
ready?
June 25th, DX
They think you can tell us what to do. You think
reunites
what to wear? Well, you better get ready.
at Vengeance.
Bow to the masters. Break it down.
WWE Vengeance live Sunday, June 25th on Events on Demand pay-per-view.
CNN, the most trusted name in news.
Jack Cafferty back now with the Cafferty File. Hi, Jack.
Thank you, John. Hi. The question this hour is, if you could talk to our troops this Memorial Day, what would you say to them? Got some great letters. Gabrielle in Federal Way, Washington. I would let them know that in our house we attend Memorial Day services, even though we have no family member in the military. To us, it's not a day to shop for sales, but a day to remember our fallen heroes. Sarge in Indianapolis, make sure you vote in November, and vote for the people in the body bags. They no longer have a voice. Speak for them, and speak loud. Robert in Tecusta, Florida. As one who has been there, I would tell them to keep their heads down, do their job, keep track of their getaway day, and get their fannies home. Richard in Syracuse, New York. As a disabled veteran, I would tell that we will never allow them to be dishonored for their service and commitment as previous veterans have been. And Eric in Huntington Beach writes this: my grandfather fought in World War II. He was a Danish resistance leader. My family, before I was born, was given a rebirth of freedom thanks in large part to American soldiers. As a U.S. citizen now, I would say the same thing I would tell anyone in the armed forces on a daily basis. I realize there is nothing I can really do to show my appreciation for your sacrifices, which are far beyond any sacrifice I have ever made. But from deep inside my heart, thank you for contributing to our freedom and the freedom of others. My family has over 60 years of gratitude toward the United States military. Thank you. John?
Wonderful letters, Jack. Thank you very much for sharing them. I'm sure there's more to come maybe later. And next, will New York City soon allow gay couples to marry? Find out in today's Culture Wars. And a very bloody day in Afghanistan is the Taliban behind today's violence. We'll go live to Kabul at the top of the hour.
Closed captioning provided by Head On. Should I know about Head On?
Head On. I just bought Head On at the drugstore. What's Head On? You've never heard of Head On? Should I know about Head On?
Head On is available without a prescription at retailers nationwide.
I was always going. Having to go in the middle of traffic and just starting and stopping. Having to go in the middle of a ball game and then not being able to go once I got there. And going at night. going and going. I thought I had a going problem. My doctor said I had a growing problem. It wasn't my bladder. My prostate was growing. I had an enlarging prostate. My doctor prescribed Avodart.
Most medicines only treat symptoms. Avodart, with time, actually shrinks the prostate and improves urinary symptoms.
So I can go more easily when I need to go, and go less often.
Only your doctor can tell if your symptoms are from an enlarged prostate and not a more serious condition such as prostate cancer, so have regular prostate exams. Avodart is for men only. Women should not take or handle Avodart due to the risk of a specific birth defect. Tell your doctor if you have liver disease. Rarely, sexual side effects, tenderness, or swelling of the breast can occur. Call your doctor today. Avodart for your growing problem.
I'm Pete. I've had nice bosses, mean bosses, short bosses, tall bosses, she bosses, he bosses, they bosses, serious bosses, nervous bosses, and one kind of funny boss. Now I'm the boss, and my plan is to keep the boss happy.
You do what you love. We'll help you keep your investments on track. Fidelity Retirement Income Advantage. Call 1-800-FIDELITY. Smart move.
Is it possible to engineer desire? An entirely new ES, the Lexus ES 350.
She works hard for the money, so hard for it, honey. She works hard for the money, so you better treat her right. All right.
Our money market account will work hard for your money. And our 12-month CD, so hard for it, honey. Just log on to gmacbank.com or call 866-2GM-BANK today. We'll really treat you right.
Outspoken, defiant, the Dixie Chicks. CNN Wednesday, their first live primetime interview since they set fans off by taking on the president. The Dixie Chicks take your calls, only on Larry King Live. CNN Wednesday, 9 Eastern.
New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg is taking a frontline position in the culture wars. He's vowing to fight for same-sex marriages as that issue goes before an appeals court in New York this week. Our Mary Snow has more on Mayor Bloomberg's stand. Mary?
Well, John, he's a Republican mayor in a blue state, but when it comes to controversial issues, Mayor Mike Bloomberg doesn't see things in blue and red. He's recently been more outspoken, fueling speculation as to whether he's considering running for president, possibly as an independent. The cameras focus on New York City Mayor Mike Bloomberg at a local Memorial Day parade, but the questions focus on national issues. The latest, gay marriage. A case on same-sex marriages goes before an appeals court this week. Bloomberg says if the court doesn't allow for the nuptials, he'll lobby for change.
If the courts say that the current Constitution does not permit it and we need new laws, then I'll go and express my views that we should have those new laws.
That's in contrast to a fellow Republican neighbor, Governor Mitt Romney of Massachusetts.
We did not want Massachusetts to become the Las Vegas of same-sex marriage.
The Republican Bloomberg doesn't always toe his party's line, and he's becoming increasingly critical of the way conservatives in Congress are handling illegal immigration. Last week, Bloomberg criticized naysayers of global warming and evolution, telling students at Johns Hopkins that politics is clouding science.
Was there anything more inappropriate than watching political science try to override medical science in the Terry Schiavo case?
And there was also the National Gun Summit he held recently to crack down on those selling guns on the black market.
Well, good afternoon.
With Bloomberg stepping further into the spotlight, it's raised questions about his political plans for 2008. He told me today,
I'm not running for president. I have the best job in the world.
Political observers say Bloomberg is filling a vacuum of silence among politicians in Washington.
Mike Bloomberg is always honest, always direct, and always forthright. And Americans would love to have someone with those qualities in the White House.
A political observer we spoke with says even if Bloomberg doesn't run for office, he can affect candidates who do run in 2008, saying he is path-breaking by being frank on where he stands. John?
Mary Snow, a very interesting man, and you'll keep watching him. Thank you, Mary. And to our viewers, you're in the Situation Room, where new pictures and information are arriving all the time. Standing by CNN reporters across the United States and around the world to bring you today's top stories. happening now. It's 1:30 a.m. Tuesday in Kabul, the Afghan capital, rocked by deadly violence fueled by anti-U.S. anger. Our Pentagon correspondent Barbara Starr is there. We'll also talk to a writer for GQ magazine who witnessed the aftermath. It's 1 a.m. Tuesday in Baghdad, where a fresh wave of violence has killed and injured dozens, including a CBS News crew. On this Memorial Day, we'll meet one Iraq War vet whose job now is to help bury his fallen comrades. And it's 4 p.m. Central Time in New Orleans, 9 months to the day after Hurricane Katrina hit. The city's justice system is in disarray, with some accused criminals being set free. Wolf Blitzer is off today. I'm John King. You're in the Situation Room. Right now in Afghanistan's capital, the U.S. military headquarters is on lockdown. Kabul is under curfew. And staff members at the U.S. Embassy have been told, stay inside. Many angry Afghans are shouting death to Americans, already simmering with anti-American tensions, now at full boil after a U.S. military truck accidentally rammed into a crowd of pedestrians. We have 3 reports. Our Brian Todd is here in Washington. Sam Dealey, who's writing for GQ magazine, witnessed the aftermath. But let's start with our CNN Pentagon correspondent, Barbara Starr. She's in Kabul with details. Barbara?
John, we have been in lockdown all day now. It is just a few hours from dawn. The curfew will be lifted at that point, and we will see if there is a second day of violence here in Kabul.
In Kabul, a traffic accident turned into a day of rioting across Afghanistan's capital city. It began when hundreds of Afghans stoned a U.S. military convoy after an army truck crashed into a dozen civilian vehicles. 1 Afghan died and several were injured. After offering medical aid, the convoy tried to leave the area, but matters took an even deadlier turn. The video from the scene shows at least one U.S. soldier manning a .50 caliber machine gun on top of a military vehicle, firing his weapon in the direction of civilians on a hillside. All of this setting off a day of totally unexpected rioting and gunfire across the city. At Camp Eggers, the military headquarters, troops had paused on Memorial Day to remember their fallen comrades. Within minutes, they took up defensive firing positions as gunfire was heard and protesters marched through the city.
We have just heard from our rooftop position here about 2 to 3 minutes of gunfire across the city. We believe it was AK-47 gunfire we were hearing. It lasted for some time. You may be able to see there is smoke now rising from some location out in the city that we do not know what that location is. The camp here is in lockdown.
Even as the gunfire continued to ring out, the coalition spokesman promised the U.S. military would investigate the incident.
We will determine the facts regarding the incident and cooperate fully with Afghan authorities. In accordance with appropriate policies, compensation will be paid to those who are entitled.
Protesters and police continued to clash across Kabul throughout the day. The Afghan Health Ministry says it is the worst violence in Kabul since the day the Taliban fled. At least 8 civilians were killed and more than 100 injured. Several compounds were attacked. Afghans on the street expressed their fury. This man saying the American soldiers killed many civilians.
Afghan President Hamid Karzai has appealed for calm, but there have been several incidents, John, in which Afghan civilians have been inadvertently killed in military operations, and people here are becoming very angry. John.
Barbara, you say very angry. One line in your piece stands out to me on this Memorial Day, the worst day of violence since the Taliban fell. I think many Americans sort of assume that Afghanistan is over, if you will, that it's in a more transition toward peace. What are the commanders, the U.S. commanders, telling you about why they think it's getting worse?
Well, what they are saying here, John, is they now call this an insurgency in Afghanistan. In the south, they say the Taliban, again, are on the rise. That is an area where they are seeing concentrations of 50 to 100 Taliban fighters in some cases. And what all of this is really about is now, with the Afghan government in place, finally the Afghan government, security forces, the U.S. military and the NATO forces that are here are moving into areas deep in rural Afghanistan, down south and in the east, where in the last 4.5 years they simply haven't been. You know, one of the things that happened here was the Taliban basically fled. They melted into the civilian population and chose not to fight. Well, now they are coming back out. They have been biding their time, is the general assessment, and coming out in areas where they feel they can take advantage of the local population. There are many reports, for example, in villages where the Taliban have been burning schools, killing people, terrorizing the local population. The U.S. military commander here reports to us that there has been an increase in IEDs, in suicide bombs, and they indeed now call this an insurgency. It sounds an awful lot like Iraq. It is not a widespread, not a nationwide insurgency, but it certainly now exists in some parts of the country, and the commanders here say expect to see more combat operations in the weeks and months ahead. They are determined to deal with this. At the same time, on this Memorial Day, the top U.S. military commander says his troops will stay on the hunt for Osama bin Laden until he is captured or killed. John.
Barbara Starr for us in Kabul. Barbara, an often unreported story. We're lucky to have you there for us. Stay safe. Thank you very much, Barbara. And my next guest witnessed the aftermath of today's crash in Afghanistan firsthand. Sam Dealey is a journalist working on a story for GQ magazine. He joins me now from Kabul. Sam, just take us right into your cab. You decided you wanted to go out to see this. You hopped in a cab. Give us the scene.
That's right. My photographer and I, we went out there. The accident happened about 9 in the morning, 9:15. We were there about 10. At that point, the U.S. had already pulled out. The troops had already pulled out to safety, and the Afghan police were manning the fort. The crowd was pretty violent. The police were shooting into the crowd. There was some obviously some problems with crowd control. Eventually, the police just pulled back to some various other defensive positions, and the crowd just started to swell. And they were burning cars, overturning police boxes. It was just, black plumes of smoke all over the place, and the crump of gunfire.
Were you personally at risk?
Moved then into central Kabul.
Were you personally risking this? Personally at risk?
It was pretty dicey. We were told, yeah, the police told us to basically to get out of there. The crowd was looking for foreigners. They wouldn't have taken kindly to us. So we did pull back. Went to the presidential palace here in Kabul, and that quickly became a mob scene as well. There were just crowds of youths and men throwing stones coming out of every road and alleyway, and it was quite hairy for a moment there. But we were able to punch out and hit out with the president of Afghanistan's its Olympic Committee at his house.
You just heard Barbara Starr's report about this growing anti-American sentiment. Give me a personal account of what it feels like, what it is like, and what safety precautions you need to take now.
Well, it's funny, just walking around Kabul, you don't really feel it until today. Soldiers do say that their helicopters and their Humvees, as they're going by, the kids are no longer kind of smiling at them. They're now picking up the occasional rock and throwing it. Obviously they're probably picking it up from their parents. Obviously, you also have the insurgency going on down in the southern provinces, where fighting has been very, very fierce. So you do have a sense that things are turning a bit, but for your average, just walking around the city of Kabul, I guess until today, it wasn't quite apparent.
How long are you going to stay, Sam?
Well, as long as I can, as long as GQ will foot the bills, I suppose.
Well, Sam Dealey, we thank you for sharing your stories with us today, and please stay safe and maybe add a little bit more security next time you head out in a cab. Thank you very much, Sam. Stay safe. Today's incident in Kabul has some asking, how much is Afghanistan moving forward? Or might the country actually be sliding back to the madness and mayhem seen during the Taliban era? Our Brian Todd is here with more on that. Brian?
John, the Taliban have actually resurfaced in some parts of Afghanistan, which is also a big reason why new questions are being raised about the country's stability. If a traffic accident can spark a deadly riot in Kabul, if the Taliban can come back with a vengeance, and if the drug trade is still flourishing, then is the post-9/11 Western model for Afghanistan crumbling? It depends on who you ask. This protester in Kabul has one answer.
And they're driving on the roads, killing innocent people. We want America out of this country sooner or later. We hate America.
And one Western journalist in Afghanistan describes the situation as, quote, quite bleak. The perceived inability of the central government to extend its control over the whole country, he says, is a huge factor. Analysts believe that has led to the Taliban's deadly resurgence in the south. As U.S. troops scale back and NATO forces move in there, Taliban militia are taking advantage of the porous border with Pakistan to launch offensives. Drug traffickers, they say, are also filling the void, allying with the Taliban and infiltrating the Afghan government. But despite its problems, Afghanistan has made important strides.
The terror camps have been shut down. Women are working. Boys and girls are going to school. And Afghans have chosen a president and a new parliament in free elections.
Other signs of progress, analysts say, don't get much visibility.
The economy has improved by about 80% over the course of the last 4 years. Infrastructure is being built. Those are the schools and the hospitals and the road network. The training of the Afghanistan military and security forces is increasing, and there is an increased presence of Afghanistan command and control over the security that takes place within the country.
Those security forces, analysts believe, are key to the very delicate balance here. Their ability to win the trust of local villagers and warlords in the coming months and years, they say, will mean the difference between stability in some parts of Afghanistan and chaos in other areas. John?
Brian Todd, thank you very much. And time now for what we call the Cafferty File. Jack Cafferty standing by in New York. Hi, Jack.
Hi, John. When the FBI, with a warrant, searched Congressman William Jefferson's office a week or so ago, the chorus of outrage coming from the Congress was deafening. House Speaker Dennis Hastert went screaming to the White House. Attorney General Alberto Gonzales threatened to quit if the Justice Department had to return the documents. President Bush ordered the thing sealed for 45 days. At that time, the Senate Majority Leader Bill Frist weighed in, saying that he was concerned about the constitutionality of the FBI search. A week later, the issue seems to have disappeared almost as quickly as it came. And Frist, who would like very much to be the next president, is now out with another position. He thinks the FBI acted appropriately. He also said of the controversy, quote, "I think we've seen it pretty much put to bed now, I hope. I trust our Department of Justice." So here's the question. What does it mean when Senator Bill Frist says the controversy over the search of Representative Jefferson's office has been pretty much put to bed? Email your thoughts to CaffertyFile@CNN.com or go to CNN.com/CaffertyFile, and there is no right answer. John?
I think one answer, Jack, is he'd prefer not to be asked about it anymore.
I'm sure he would. That's kind of why we decided we'd do it here.
We'll see what comes in. Thank you very much, Jack. And if you want a sneak preview of Jack's questions, plus an early read on the day's political news and what's ahead in the Situation Room, sign up for our daily email alert. Just go to CNN.com/Situation Room. Up ahead, justice postponed. 9 months after Hurricane Katrina, New Orleans jails and courts are in disarray. Our Gulf Coast correspondent Susan Rosegen investigates. Also, on this Memorial Day, we'll introduce you to an Iraq War veteran whose duty now is to help bury his fallen comrades. His story in his own words. Plus, a fresh wave of deadly violence in Iraq. Dozens of people are killed and injured. A CBS News correspondent is in critical condition. Her crew killed. We'll have the details. Stay with us. You're in the Situation Room.
How you doing, sir? Orientation, 7th floor. Sign in, please.
If you're a new full-time employee.
We've got the Q4 numbers. Germany looks good.
A people-ready business knows that every person it hires is an investment. With the right software, they'll be ready to hit the ground running from day one.
You can be a very knowledgeable pharmacist, but if you don't have good people skills, I care if somebody's sick or if somebody's hurting because they've lost a loved one. I want them to feel at home at my pharmacy. I want them to feel that they can rely on me. That's important to me. It's not about how much money I make or am I going to do better than someone else. It's not about that at all. It's about who you're going to save. My name is Melva McGinnis. I'm a CVS pharmacist.
When something really fits, you can feel it, like the fit you get with C-Bond denture adhesive. It's the only wafer that has a gasket effect that locks dentures in place. Only C-Bond gives you all-over coverage, all-over hold in a wafer. No mess, no ooze.
When your dentures really fit, you can feel it.
Now, lock dentures in place with C-Bond, the adhesive wafer with the gasket fit. C-Bond.
He crashed that drive, and Jack picks up still another birdie. Birdie country again.
If he put together his best shots from every hole of the Masters, Jack Nicklaus would turn in a card of 48.
That's about as close to flawless golf as you'll ever see.
Turn off the Ambilight function on your Philips flat TV, and it's like going back in time. The only flat TV with Ambilight from Philips. You'll never go back to ordinary TV.
Closed captioning provided by Head On. Should I know about Head On?
Head On. I just bought Head On at the drugstore. What's Head On? You've never heard of Head On? Should I know about Head On? Head On is available without a prescription at retailers nationwide.
On this day that the United States pays tributes to its war dead, insurgents in Iraq are not letting up on their attacks. Today, insurgent attacks killed at least 50 people and hurt more than 80, including members of a CBS News crew. CNN's Ryan Chilcote is in Baghdad, joins us now with the details. Ryan?
John, it has been an exceptionally violent day in Iraq. More than 50 people killed, more than 80 wounded in attacks around the country. Right here in Baghdad, there have been at least 7 bombings, one of them striking a U.S. military patrol that CBS News had a team embedded with.
If you look closely at the 4th Infantry Division's Humvee that was the target of the attack, you get a sense of the power of the blast. As far as we know, they never saw their attackers. That's the way it usually is for U.S. forces in Iraq and the journalists who cover this war. CBS News reporter Kimberly Dozier, cameraman Paul Douglas, and soundman James Brolin had just gotten out of their armored vehicle when the nearby car packed with explosives detonated. Dozier was seriously wounded. Cameraman Douglas and soundman Brolin were killed. So was an American soldier. So was an Iraqi contractor who was helping the U.S. military. Correspondent Dozier is an experienced hand in Iraq. A year and a half ago, she appeared on CNN's Reliable Sources describing how dangerous it was to go out and, in her words, hunt a story, forced to rely on others to gather the news.
Well, I feel like I'm doing everything by remote, whereas when I first got here, say a year ago, I could drive into the streets, go into a neighborhood, talk to Iraqis, ask what they thought about something.
At least 6 other bombs went off in the Iraqi capital Monday. Most of the victims, Iraqi civilians. These people were killed by a bomb that went off near their bus in one of Baghdad's Shiite neighborhoods. According to the Committee to Protect Journalists, CBS cameraman Douglas and soundman Brolin became the 70th and 71st journalists killed by hostile action since the war began.
John, 6 U.S. soldiers that were also wounded in that same attack are recovering in American combat hospitals here in Iraq. As for the CBS News correspondent Kimberly Dozier, she is also recovering, but she has been in and out of surgery. Still, doctors say they are cautiously optimistic she will recover. John?
And Ryan, you heard her frustration in your piece about how difficult it is, as she put it, to go hunt for a story. More dangerous for journalists now than it was a few months ago, or less so?
John, I think it is fair to say that it is more dangerous right now. However, I think it's also important to point out that what distinguishes us from a lot of the people here in Iraq is that we are able really to choose what level of danger we are comfortable with. That is something that you cannot say for a lot of the members of the U.S. military that are serving here. Remember that more than 2,400 of them have been killed since the war began. It is also something that you cannot say for a lot of the Iraqis that are here. Remember, more than 30,000 Iraqis have been killed since the war began. John?
Ryan Chilcote with an excellent point for us, doing excellent duty for us in Baghdad. Ryan, thank you very much. And today's death of an American soldier in Iraq increases the number of U.S. fatalities there to 2,466 since the war began. Coming up, violence in Iraq, the nuclear standoff with Iran. We'll talk about that and more with a key member of CNN's Security Council, former Defense Secretary William Cohen. Plus, crowded jails, courts that barely function. 9 months after Katrina, New Orleans' justice system is in crisis. You're in the Situation Room.
Last year, Norfolk Southern and its shipping partners took hundreds of thousands of freight loads off the highway. In fact, they've invested millions to convert even more traffic in the coming years. So it's easy to see how the economy won't be the only thing that benefits. Norfolk Southern, the future of transportation.
What happens if your latest product goes global in a single bound? Because we consider what might change tomorrow, our customers can feel more relaxed about what might happen today. Zurich, because change happens.
Hi, honey.
Thought you went shopping.
Well.
In-floor storage bins. One of the many benefits of Chrysler Town & Country's exclusive stow-and-go seating and storage system. Get 0% financing for 60 months or a $4,000 cash allowance on Chrysler Town & Country. Hurry before the Memorial Day sales event ends.
An incredible Memorial Day show. Animals take a bite out of crime. Real-life pet detectives. Nancy Grace, Headline Prime. Tonight, 8 Eastern.
I'm just gonna get some fresh tomato and basil for my bruschetta.
Ooh, look how fresh you are. Ooh, they're gonna love you. Come here, my beauty.
This week at Albertsons, save on fresh, long, tender ears of sweet corn, only 19 cents each. Boneless, skinless chicken breasts, just $1.49 a pound. And 12 packs of Coca-Cola beverages. Buy 4 for just $10 and get the 5th one free. Here I come! Albertsons, helping make your life easier.
This is not a hobby. This is a way to stand up against the big phone company. But nobody should have to pay high phone bills. As a last resort, I will use the arrow. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. Halt! Phone company varlet!
Fight back against high phone bills.
Freedom!
Save more than 13% over the phone company with Comcast Digital Voice. It's Comcastic. Switch to Comcast Digital Voice risk-free and get all your Comcast services on one bill.
A live picture there in New York of the USS Intrepid on this Memorial Day. The chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee says his panel will hold a hearing on an alleged massacre of Iraqi civilians in the town of Haditha. CNN senior Pentagon correspondent Jamie McIntyre has been on top of this story from the beginning and joins us now live with the latest developments. Jamie?
Well, John, Pentagon sources tell us that members of Congress have been told that U.S. military investigators now strongly suspect that what happened in Haditha in November of last year was a rampage by a small group of Marines who snapped after one of their own was killed by a roadside bomb.
I understand it's going to be a couple more weeks before those investigations are complete, and we should not prejudge the outcome, but we should, in fact, as leaders, take on the responsibility to get out and talk to our troops and make sure that they understand that what 99.9% of them are doing, which is fighting with honor and courage, is exactly what we expect of them.
At first, the U.S. military simply refused to believe villagers who accused Marines of murdering unarmed civilians, even presented with credible evidence such as this videotape, which was given to the U.S. military by Time magazine. Their story that the civilians were killed by roadside bombs sort of fell apart in the wake of an investigation that sources tell CNN will likely result in charges of murder against some of the Marines and dereliction of duty against the others. Sources say between 4 and 8 Marines from Kilo Company were directly involved, but that some Marines from other units knew what happened because they helped document the aftermath. Lance Corporal Ryan Briones told the Los Angeles Times that he took pictures of at least 15 bodies and is still haunted by the memory of picking up a young girl who was shot in the head. I held her out like this, he said, demonstrating with his arms extended, but her head was bobbing up and down and the insides fell on my legs. His mother is talking to CNN this afternoon. Meanwhile, sources say that the charges in this case could come as soon as next month. John?
Jamie McIntyre, first at the Pentagon. Thank you, Jamie. And for more on this, we're joined by a key member of CNN Security Council, our World Affairs analyst, former Defense Secretary William Cohen. He's chairman, and CEO of the Cohen Group here in Washington. Mr. Secretary, let's start with Haditha and the investigation. And I want you to listen before we speak to Congressman Jack Murtha, a leading voice in the Congress, Democrat of Pennsylvania, on defense matters, who has been pushing for this investigation, and there is this talk of a cover-up. I want you to listen to Congressman Murtha.
Now they talk about, well, you shouldn't speak out about it till the investigation's over. Well, if I didn't speak out, there wouldn't have been an investigation. Who covered this up? Who is trying to cover this thing up? When something like this happens, you have to get it out in the open. You have to take action.
Out in the open, take action. You've been the defense secretary. Talk about how sensitive this has to be for the Pentagon. Allegations of a massacre and talk of a possible cover-up.
Well, I have a lot of confidence in Jack Murtha. I served with him in the Congress, and certainly when I was at the Pentagon, I relied upon him as a strong supporter of the military. And when Congressman Murtha speaks out that he is trying to draw attention to something he felt was not being addressed, I think we have to pay attention to that. Obviously, the Secretary of Defense and others can't comment at this point, nor should they, but wait until the investigation is complete. I think there's been quite a momentum building on this, and I would attribute it to Jack Murtha raising his voice of concern on the issue.
I want to change subjects to Iran. The United States is trying to build up the pressure, international pressure, to bring sanctions against Tehran because of its nuclear program. It has been a tough sledding, to say the least, for the United States diplomatically. What would your advice be to this administration as it tries to get to the next level, which is more help?
Well, the president has plenty of advisors to counsel him on this. My own approach would be that it has to be both a carrot and a stick. And there has to be a proposal made to the Iranians that is significant, substantial, fair, and balanced, so to speak, and one that the key European countries, Great Britain, France, Germany, perhaps Italy and Japan in this mix as well, but at least the three key European states that can join in this and say this is a fair proposal. It's going to be
a direct proposal. Should the United States rip up the rules? Since the hostage crisis, there's been no direct one-on-one conversation. Because of the gravity of this situation, should the president just rip up those rules and try to start over, try to have a direct conversation?
I think that it can be done either multilaterally or unilaterally. I think at some point we have to deal directly with the Iranians, perhaps not with President Ahmadinejad initially, but deal with the Iranian government in some form, and sooner rather than later. But it has to be in the form of a comprehensive package. Number one, saying if you give up your nuclear ambitions, good things can follow from that. There can be diplomatic recognition, integration into the international community, no more sanctions, whether they're effective or not, but you are basically being embraced by the international community. Coupled with that would be the lack of stopping support for Hamas, Hezbollah, terrorist activities. If that were the case, and if it was presented as an economic and diplomatic package, and they were to give up on that, then I think you can really look at both Iran, Iraq, and the Middle East peace process as a comprehensive approach. But I think it's going to take a lot of carrots as well as the sticks, especially for Japan and Italy to join in. They are the ones who will be hardest hit by their dependence upon Iranian oil at this point. And so for them to impose sanctions and run the risk they might be cut off somewhat or reduced in their supply of energy is going to be a much bigger task for them.
I want to ask your thoughts on this Memorial Day when the country pauses to reflect, to thank, and honor the service. We've had Barbara Starr on from Afghanistan talking about an insurgency, using the word insurgency. We know full well the price of the insurgency in Iraq. How has the politics, the surprises and the politics of those military actions, Afghanistan much less political than Iraq, how does it, in your view, affect the mood of America as we mark Memorial Day?
Well, I think most Americans are mindful of the fact that those who are in Afghanistan and Iraq today, they didn't go there by choice. This is not their decision. They volunteered to serve this country. They went to Iraq and Afghanistan because the commander-in-chief has ordered them to go. So they are carrying out their duty. And they are serving with duty, honor, and for country. And I think we have to really praise them for that, recognizing there are going to be some unfortunate incidents, as you reported just a moment ago. But overall, these men and women are incredibly courageous, patriotic, and giving great sacrifice to this country. And we need to pay tribute to them and to certainly memorialize those we have lost and praise those who are now serving us, because, as my wife and others are fond of saying, we sleep under the blanket of freedom because of the service and sacrifice of people who are volunteering to put their lives on the line for us.
Most of the attention is on Iraq, but when you hear what you've been hearing out of Afghanistan in recent days, does it suggest to you that there needs to be a redoubling of the effort there, perhaps more U.S. troops, a bigger NATO commitment, something more need to be done there?
Well, NATO is moving in to assume responsibility for control in Afghanistan, but that's on the military level. In addition to that, as we've seen in Iraq, we are never going to be successful in Afghanistan or Iraq unless we have the hearts and minds of the Afghani people and those in Iraq. Military operations or occupations are never going to be successful if you don't have the support of the indigenous people, and that's what we have to concentrate. What's going on in Afghanistan? Are we, in fact, providing a better quality of life than they had before? Same for Iraq. If we are not, then we're not going to have the hearts and minds, we'll not have the support, and the military operation will not ultimately be successful.
Former Defense Secretary William Cohen, thank you for your thoughts, sir. Thank you. And coming up, my interview with a member of the Honor Guard at Arlington National Cemetery. He'll tell us about the challenges of honoring the nation's fallen. And some have called it a living hell, an estimated 5,000 dead and 100,000 homeless. We'll have the latest on the devastating earthquake in Indonesia.
Keeping a team of rowdy 20-year-olds in check, Bill is a formidable man. But he was no match for something smaller than a bead of sweat. It KO'd him so fast he didn't even see it coming. It was a clot. Like Bill, if you've been hospitalized with heart-related chest pain or a certain type of heart attack, what doctors call ACS, chances are you've had a clot. But now, Bill's doctor is helping increase Bill's protection against heart attack and stroke by putting Bill on Plavix. Plavix, in combination with aspirin and other heart medicines, helps provide greater protection against heart attack and stroke than aspirin and other heart medicines alone by helping keep blood platelets from sticking together and forming clots.
If you have a stomach ulcer or other condition that causes bleeding, you shouldn't use Plavix. When taking Plavix alone or with some medicines, including aspirin, the risk of bleeding may increase. To minimize this risk, talk to your doctor before taking aspirin or other medicines with Plavix. Additional rare but serious side effects could occur.
Ask your doctor about Plavix today, because no matter how formidable you are, you're no match for a dangerous clot.
Are we going to that bed and breakfast?
No.
No. Oh, are we going skiing?
No.
How about a day spa?
Nope.
Are we going apple picking?
No. Just relax. Trust me.
Is that a bull?
Free weekends at Avis. Rent for a week and get a free weekend to go out and do something totally unexpected. Just another way we try harder.
Come on now, come on. Ha! Yes!
Lasso lessons. Good one.
Thought you went shopping.
Well.
In-floor storage bins. One of the many benefits of Chrysler Town & Country's exclusive stow-and-go seating and storage system. Get 0% financing for 60 months or a $4,000 cash allowance on Chrysler Town & Country. Hurry before the Memorial Day sales event ends.
He volunteered.
We were drafted. She enlisted.
And off we went to Asia. To Europe.
The Gulf. To do our duty.
Serve our country. We were buddies.
Shipmates. Best of friends.
I'll never forget his courage.
Her dedication.
The way he made you laugh. And I'll remember him.
Remember her?
I'll remember them. Always.
outspoken, defiant. The Dixie Chicks, CNN Wednesday, their first live primetime interview since they set fans off by taking on the president. The Dixie Chicks take your calls, only on Larry King Live, CNN Wednesday, 9 Eastern.
Here's a look at some of the hot shots coming in from the Associated Press, pictures likely to be in your newspaper tomorrow. In Laconia, New Hampshire, veterans salute as the remains of Private Nicholas Cornier are carried to the cemetery on the back of his pickup truck. The 25-year-old was killed in an explosion near Baghdad. In Rochester, New York, Shialyn McLeod salutes veterans as they march down Main Street during the annual Memorial Day parade. In Iraq, a Memorial Day display at the U.S. Embassy in Baghdad. And in Indonesia, a little boy eats breakfast near his devastated home. More than 5,000 people were killed in the earthquake that struck Saturday. And that's today's Hot Shots, pictures worth 1,000 words. And now we go to our Zane Vergy. She joins us from the CNN Center in Atlanta with a look at other stories making news. Hi, Zane.
Hi, John. More on that quake. Shell-shocked survivors in Indonesia await aid that's just begun trickling in after Saturday's powerful quake. The estimated death toll from the quake now exceeds 5,000. Thousands of people are hurt and as many as 100,000 could be homeless. The United Nations is appealing for more aid, including field hospitals, medical supplies and tents. The UN says more than 20 countries have pledged assistance. The quake was the fourth to hit Indonesia in the past 17 months. Indonesia also faces more bird flu cases. The World Health Organization confirms 6 new human cases of the disease in that country. 3 of those who contracted the illness have died. The World Health Organization says that it appears that none of the new cases infected anyone else. In all, 224 people in 10 countries have fallen ill with bird flu. 127 of them have died. U.S. military prison guards are fighting a PR battle with about 75 detainees at Guantanamo Bay in Cuba. The U.S. says the detainees are on a hunger strike. Officials at Gitmo say they believe the strike is essentially meant to gain sympathy during upcoming military hearings. The officials say that past hunger strikes have ended after the cameras go away. John?
Zane, thank you very much. And the internet is the next frontier in the struggle over human rights. That's according to Amnesty International. Now the group is launching a new campaign aimed at combating censorship online. Our internet reporter Jackie Schechner is standing by with more. Jackie.
John, this is at a campaign. It's called irrepressible.info. This is from Amnesty International. Now, there are organizations like Reporters Without Borders or Global Voices that have been keeping track of internet censorship and repression for years. And now Amnesty is teaming up with The Observer, a British newspaper, to help get the word out to an even wider audience. They're asking people to put banner ads on their website. And some of these ads have information in them that is an example of what censorship might be in countries like China, Iran, and Syria. You can put this text into your website. The idea being that every time somebody comes to your web page, they're seeing something that a government may not want them to see. They're also asking people to sign a pledge, asking governments to not censor information on the internet, and asking corporations to stop helping them. Another thing they're linking to is this interactive website. It's a coalition of partners that keep track of what's restricted online, and you can go around this map here. It's interactive. It'll tell you what countries censor and what exactly they're censoring online. John?
Maybe we'll see if we can post that report all around the world, see what happens. Thank you, Jackie. And still to come, in our 7 p.m. Eastern hour, who would go to military funerals to heckle dead service members and their loved ones? We'll tell you about these acts many military families find highly offensive. Now President Bush is taking action. And delay of justice. Imagine being accused of a crime, but not getting your day in court, or even getting a lawyer for months. That's what Hurricane Katrina did in New Orleans. But very soon, that'll change.
Than just a washing machine, the LG Steam Washer refreshes clothing and reduces wrinkles with the rapid power of steam. Surprising as, fresh as, innovative as LG. LG, life's good.
This is the preschool of the VFW's National Home for Children. This is the chapel, and these are the houses. Founded in 1925 as a community for the orphans of our fallen soldiers, the National Home continues to serve the needs of our military families. So in honor of Memorial Day, Buick, Pontiac, and GMC are joining together to donate $100 to the National Home for every car and truck we sell from now through May 31st. If you're at all serious about getting a new car, this would be a good time to do it.
There are more than 29 million Americans without insurance who need help paying for their medicines. That's why there's the Partnership for Prescription Assistance. Through this free service, people who need help can call 1-888-4PPA now to see if they may qualify. Many get their medicines for free or nearly free, and I'm talking more than 2,500 brand name and generic medicines. Do you need help? Write down the number you see. It's your medicine. It's your life. It's your time to call.
Where you headed?
Tractor Supply, pick up a new air compressor.
Could you pick me up a gallon of tire sealant?
Yep.
And a 50-pound bag of dog food?
Sure.
Oh, how about a 35-ton log splitter?
Why didn't you just ask me for a ride?
Well, I didn't want to put you out.
Through June 4th, buy any bag of pet food priced $20 or more and get a $10 Tractor Supply gift card.
How you doing, sir?
Orientation, 7th floor. Sign in, please.
If you're a new full-time employee.
We've got the Q4 numbers. Germany looks good.
A people-ready business knows that every person it hires is an investment. With the right software, they'll be ready to hit the ground running from day one.
Closed captioning hours on CNN, sponsored in part by Capsaicin HP, raises your level of relief.
Back pain won't let me enjoy this.
The new Capsaicin patch. Works, lasts, doctor recommended.
I can't believe how far I've come.
The Capsaicin patch. Relief beyond belief.
It's 9 months to the day since Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans, and the city is just now about to hold its first jury trial since then. CNN Gulf Coast correspondent Susan Rosen joins us live from the criminal court in New Orleans with a look at the city's badly damaged justice system. Hello, Susan.
Hey, John, and the hurricane water completely surrounded this courthouse, and the judges had to evacuate by boat. Now the courthouse is set to reopen for the first time since Katrina, but for thousands of people stuck in jail in New Orleans, the justice system has completely shut down.
These are the living victims of Hurricane Katrina. Some of the thousands of people sitting in jail for months without ever going to court or even seeing a lawyer. But the inmates have an ally in Chief Criminal Court Judge Calvin Johnson. With his courtroom empty since the hurricane, the judge has released hundreds of inmates on bond.
We have made it painfully clear to everyone and anyone who will listen that if this system does not operate, then there will be hell to pay if this system does not operate. We are important to a recovery process as anything else you can imagine.
The judge says the inmates he's released are charged with only minor crimes, and he's in favor of releasing more. But the local district attorney says freeing prisoners is not the answer.
We don't need simplistic, reckless solutions to complicated problems. And that's what I consider this threat to release all poor inmates on the streets of New Orleans.
District Attorney Eddie Jordan agrees the city desperately needs more public defenders. But without them, others argue that New Orleans inmates have lost their right to due process.
As long as we're all still here in the USA, unless we've been severed and made a part of the Caribbean, we still have a constitution. And they're innocent until proven guilty, and it's his job to prove them guilty.
The first jury trials since the hurricane are set to begin next week. But there's another problem. Judge Johnson is afraid there simply aren't enough jurors in the city to hear cases.
And one more problem, John, the evidence room is in the basement of this courthouse. The basement flooded, so no one knows yet how much of the evidence has survived in thousands of criminal cases.
Fascinating story, Susan. We'll watch when that court reopens. Something to keep watching. Thank you very much, Susan Rosen, for us in New Orleans. Thank you. And up ahead, with honor and valor. That's how the nation is remembering the fallen troops who served their country. Coming up, my interview with an Iraq War veteran turned Honor Guard member at Arlington National Cemetery. And rhetoric reversal? Last week, Republican Senator Bill Frist said he had constitutional concerns about the FBI raid on a congressman's office. Now, Frist says he thinks the incident has been pretty much put to bed. What do you think that means? Our Jack Cafferty has your email.
Beware of the Benedict Arnold. He is behind your idea before the meeting. He even high-fives you and pats you on the back. But the second the idea meets the least bit of resistance, the Benedict Arnold flops like a pancake. At BMW, ideas are everything. And as an independent company, we make sure great ideas live on to become ultimate driving machines.
Too often, political correctness is all about controlling language. We have to tell it like it is.
Lou Dobbs tonight. CNN coming up next.
Roger.
As a kid, I used technology to help people do better. Today, Scottrade does the same for online investors. If you've been thinking about moving your account, this is the perfect time to come to Scottrade. With powerful trading tools and fast, accurate $7 trades, Scottrade gives you more for your money.
Weekdays on CNBC, Ron Insomnia gets into the heart of the day's market action. Hardcore business from all the angles. What you could learn from how the pros make money. An insight that's uniquely Ron. Street Signs, weekdays on CNBC. Make it your business.
Street Signs on CNBC is brought to you locally by Pacific Continental Bank.
It's probably the most vulnerable city in America today.
Predicted by many.
This isn't a question of if, it's a question of when.
Believed by some. Production began in April 2005 on the first episode of It Could Happen Tomorrow.
We expect this to be a major hurricane.
Katrina changed everything. The show never aired until now. It Could Happen Tomorrow. Katrina, the Lost Episode. A 1-hour special, June 4th at 9 p.m. Eastern, part of Hurricane Week on the Weather Channel, the Hurricane Authority.
Comcast presents excuses to watch more Major League Baseball. But they spend all that time carving those little bats out of trees. The gym is closed until October, remodeling or something. I could take up extreme taxidermy instead. You'll need all the excuses you can get with MLB Extra Innings on digital cable. Now you can enjoy up to 60 games a week and follow your favorite team no matter where you live. Call 888-COMCAST now to order for just $179. When it comes to sports, we're on your team.
CNN, the most trusted name in news.
This just in, a CNN, word of an Israeli defense operation, a military operation that includes firing a missile in Gaza. Our Zane Verjee joins us now at the CNN World Headquarters with the latest. Zane?
Hi, John. We're hearing that an Israeli helicopter has fired a missile in northern Gaza. Palestinian medical and security sources tell CNN that 3 Palestinians have been killed. The Israeli army has not commented on this incident. Meanwhile, Israeli security sources say Israeli soldiers today thwarted attacks on the Jewish state. They say soldiers captured 2 Palestinians at a checkpoint near the West Bank city of Nablus. An official says the pair dropped a bag of explosives as they tried to escape. Now, in a separate incident, Israeli soldiers shot and killed a Palestinian who approached a security fence separating Gaza and Israel. A source says that he had a rifle and a ladder. In other news, President Bush joined Americans from coast to coast in honoring the nation's war dead this Memorial Day. He visited Arlington National Cemetery to place a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknowns. Before the ceremony, Mr. Bush signed a bill into law blocking protesters from disrupting military funerals. The move was prompted by actions by a Kansas church whose members demonstrate at military funerals to protest homosexuality in the United States. John?
Zane Verjee, thank you very much. And time now to check back in with Jack Cafferty up in New York. Jack?
Thank you, John. Senate Majority Leader Bill Frist thinks the FBI acted appropriately when it comes to the searching of Representative William Jefferson's office a week or so ago. He says now the controversy's been pretty much put to bed. But last week, before a meeting with the Attorney General, Frist said he was concerned about the constitutionality of all of this. So the question we asked is, what exactly does Senator Frist mean when he says the issue's been put to bed? Pam in San Pedro, California, it means that since the senator took a completely opposite stand on this issue just a few days ago, we are dealing with yet another classic Frist flip-flop, or FFF. Curtis in Portland, Maine. Jack, when Frisk says that, he means, look how definitive I am. I want to be president in 2008. Kay in O'Brien, Oregon. Let's see. Is this the same guy, a medical doctor no less, who judged Terry Schiavo to be of sound mind, basing his judgment on a videotape? As for the Jefferson office controversy, I guess it means Mr. Frisk is providing one more of his peculiar judgments. Wanda in Arley, Montana. Jack, maybe Senator Frisk meant that the issue is just like Terry Schiavo. It may be bedridden, but it's not dead yet. He probably diagnosed the situation via videotape, so he doesn't really know what he's talking about again. Stan in Edison, New Jersey. Speaking as one who has voted for Republicans most of my adult life, Mr. Frisk's comments means that there is another massive cover-up from those thieves in Congress and the White House. Good riddance to all of them. Robert writes, Frisk's statement means that what everyone knows, Jack, the pocket change is in the freezer, but the big bucks are under the mattress. Thus the matter has been put to bed. Silly. And Sharon in Grants Pass, Oregon. He thinks we won't notice how many sides of any issue he's willing to be on in order to get to the Lincoln bedroom. John?
And if Jack could answer his own question, he would write?
What's that? I just do the question. I don't do answers. I'm not smart enough to do the answers, John.
Did anybody write in to defend Senator Frisk?
No.
No. No, well, you keep
want
waiting.
The short answer?
That's the short answer. I want a longer answer, but that's okay. I'll take the short answer. Thank you, Jack. Up next, he fought for his country. Now he helps bury its war dead. One soldier shares his thoughts on this Memorial Day in his own words.
CNN Tonight at 8, a Paula's On Now special. One gripping hour, one deadly obsession.
I seriously contemplated suicide.
Teens.
It's just so addicting.
Even kindergartners dying to be thin.
I can't eat, I can't eat, I can't eat.
An eye-opening hour about this deadly obsession. Walking the Thin Line, a Paula's On Now special. CNN Tonight, 8 Eastern. Elizabeth Taylor, a Larry King Live exclusive. CNN tomorrow. International icon, legendary survivor, a one-of-a-kind dame with a lot of secrets to spill. Elizabeth Taylor takes your calls only on Larry King Live. CNN tomorrow, 9 Eastern.
I try to do whatever I can to take care of my health. It's a very big part of who I am. So when I found out I had osteoporosis, I knew I had to meet it head on. Then my doctor told me about Boniva, how it helps build strong, healthy bones to prevent fractures with just one pill a month. And I thought, hey, I can do this. Unlike other treatments you have to take once a week, I only need Boniva once a month.
You should not take Boniva if you have low blood calcium, severe kidney disease, or cannot sit or stand for at least 60 minutes. Follow dosing instructions carefully. Stop taking Boniva and tell your doctor if you experience difficult or painful swallowing, chest pain, or severe or continuing heartburn, as these may be signs of serious upper digestive problems.
If you're as determined as I am to have strong, healthy bones, don't wait. Ask your doctor if Boniva is right for you. I'm so glad I did.
Once monthly Boniva. There's only one. Ask your doctor for a free trial offer or call 1-800-4-BONIVA.
Avis Preferred member Mike Plotzker, space C2. Don't forget your bags and your love of adventure.
Excuse me?
This is Mike Thunderpants Plotzker, the occasional base jumper, jello wrestler, the guy who likes to smear cream cheese all over.
Whoa.
Too far?
Yeah.
Sure. You may be here for a meeting, but there's a hang gliding place just off Route 9.
Avis Preferred Service. Skip the counter, go straight to your car. Have more time to do what you want. Oh, no! Just another way we try harder.
What happens when new technology overcomes carelessness? Because we consider what might change tomorrow, our customers can feel more relaxed about what might happen today. Zurich, because change happens.
If there were a store in your town called Peace of Mind, would you pay it a visit? Across America, in towns big and small, there is such a place, New York Life. It starts with our values of financial strength, integrity, and humanity, and continues with our agents. So look for us in your town. You may already know our people, and we are confident that peace of mind is why New York Life is the company you keep.
see live pictures there of visitors streaming past the Vietnam Veterans Memorial here in Washington on this Memorial Day. An estimated 1.7 million Americans wounded or killed in action have been awarded the Purple Heart since it was reintroduced in 1932. Today, New York officials are asking the public to help it create the Hall of Honor, the definitive resource on medal recipients. Internet reporter Jackie Schechner has more. Jackie.
John, this is a spot in Orange County, New York, where George Washington set up camp in 1782 and designed the Badge of Military Merit, which is the precursor to the Purple Heart as we know it today. It's the same spot in 1932 where they gave out 150 Purple Hearts as we know them today to 150 World War I veterans. Now it's going to be the home to the Hart Hall of Honor, the Purple Heart Hall of Honor. Now, nobody's kept a record over the years of how many people have gotten these. They want people to send in their stories. They want them to send in their information, their photos, anything they have to help tell this record. They're going to open this up in November of 2006. They're also going to have a Roll of Honor where you can go online on the internet and search a database of people telling their stories. You can visit that at the museum. John?
Jackie Schechner, thank you very much. It's a grim task, but also a high honor, burying those who've died protecting this nation. Just this past week, I had the great privilege of meeting one man who takes this responsibility more than seriously.
Well, I had spent a year in Iraq during the invasion and then up into February of '04 with 101st Airborne Division. So it was different. It's different now because I know my old battalion is back in Iraq at the time, and it's interesting to think about I'm here and they're off doing that, and I could easily still be there doing that. That's still out there, and it's still something you could go do, you know, anytime before or after you come here.
Does that experience enter your thoughts at all when you're here serving, when you're seeing people who served alongside you?
It does, just because as we've walked already, I saw 2 graves of guys that I went to high school with, other ones that I recognize as guys I went to college with, or guys that I went to college with, soldiers that they've had. So you do think about it when you see, you know, someone that you knew, and here they are.
This Memorial Day is marked in the country. As you know, the politics of the war have become much more controversial. Do you think, well, does that bother you as someone who wears a uniform that the war has become so unpopular? And do you think in any way the political debate about the war demeans or affects those who are buried here?
No, I don't think it does. I think that the political debate would happen regardless, one way or another, and it's not my place to say whether I agree or disagree with what's happening, and I think that that is completely someone else's right to do if they choose. And I don't think that most people, in their opinions, while they might be against the war, want to take anything away from the troops who are doing a job.
You do a job here in which you're trained to almost be dispassionate, to pay no attention to what's going on around you, to not be distracted by what's going on around you. You get quite emotional walking through there because, as you said, you're passing the graves of friends. How difficult is it to do what you do?
It is difficult. I think at first it is more difficult because you're not only learning a job, but you're dealing with a very emotional situation. As you grow a little more comfortable with doing your job, it becomes easier to focus on that and not so much the families that are surrounding you. But it never gets easier. It's difficult to see someone who, like I said, particularly someone whose husband or wife or son, daughter just died in Iraq and Afghanistan, and to stand in front of them and to do that job and to try to remain not necessarily dispatched, but to remain focused on what your job is.
Is it what you expected, or can you not think in advance or study in advance what the experience is going to be like?
I don't think at the time when I came here I knew what to expect. The longer I've been here, it's definitely been an honor to be able to provide a service on the other side of the Army. There's a lot of people in Iraq and Afghanistan that are doing their job, and there need to be some people on this side that are representing what the Army does and what the military is doing, and also to provide honors for, a fallen soldier from Iraq or Afghanistan. So it is an honor to do this job, and I'm proud to say that I've done it.
And it was an honor to meet and spend a little time with Iraq War veteran Captain Mike Lanswillak. Tough duty on this Memorial Day. We now continue our look at America's heroes with a special edition of Lou Dobbs Tonight. I'll be back here at 7 p.m. Eastern with the latest news and a special Memorial Day interview with Senator John McCain. Lou Dobbs Tonight starts right now.
This is a special holiday edition of Lou Dobbs Tonight. News, debate, and opinion for Monday, May 29th. Sitting in for Lou Dobbs is Kitty Pilgrim.
Good evening. Each week on this broadcast, we highlight some of the truly remarkable men and women serving in our armed forces in 120 countries around the globe. Tonight, we'll introduce you to just a few of the dedicated men and women who make the United States military the best in the world. We begin with a team of medics and flight crews who fly dangerous missions in Iraq to carry the wounded back to safety. They operate from an airbase in Balad, north of Baghdad, and our Bill Tucker has their story from Balad.
The mission is flown 5 times a week.
When they get hurt and they need to get treatment, they need to go home, they need somebody to come and get them. And we're proud, our team is proud to go and get them.
Team is the operative word. This C-17 belongs to the Mississippi Air National Guard. Its flight crew and medical team, a mix of Guard, reservists, and active service men and women.
Teamwork between all the services, not just the Air Force and the Army, but the Navy, the Marines, everybody works together.
That teamwork has cut the average time that it takes to get a wounded soldier back home to less than a week. During Vietnam, it took 48 days. And teamwork is apparent in every moment of the mission. The first landing inside Iraq, cargo is unloaded. The second landing at Balad Air Base, the pace accelerates.
What happens next is this C-17 is reconfigured from a plane that delivers supplies to one that picks up a cargo of a far different kind.
It's an incredible team and some great American doing great things. It's all about saving American lives.
We have a 96% survival rate. If you get to our theater hospital alive, you have a 96% chance of making it.
Those critically wounded travel with a mobile ICU and a team of 3 doctors.
Sometimes things go south up at 35,000 feet, so you have to be prepared for that and try to plan for all the bad things and the good things that can happen.
The Mississippi Air National Guard has flown more than 130 missions since the start of the war.
We're real proud to be able to fly this mission, and there's nothing better out there. It's a great mission.
Bill Tucker, CNN, Balad Air Base, Iraq.
2 Air Force captains led their crews on another extraordinary rescue mission and earned the prestigious Clarence Mackay Aviation Trophy for their efforts. They flew through a blinding sandstorm in Iraq to rescue 5 soldiers. Casey Wyan has their story.
Please also Air Force Captains Brian Creel and Robert Wrinkle have trained for years for this.
Today we have the heroes from the 2 HH-60 Pavehawk crews being awarded the prestigious Mackay Trophy for the most meritorious flight of the year. A flight that occurred April 16th, 2004.
As combat search and rescue pilots, it was the rescue of a lifetime. A Chinook helicopter crashed in a sandstorm. 5 soldiers on board. Creel and Wrinkle were tapped to lead a mission to rescue or recover.
It was tense. Previous experience with some sandstorms in Afghanistan was not good. So I had some hesitation there.
Each flew a Pavehawk helicopter with a team of rescuers on board. They navigated through hostile territory, found the crash site, and spotted survivors.
They were all huddled together. They were waiting on us. They had their radio out trying to communicate with us. Unfortunately, it wasn't working. We couldn't get communications with them until we actually landed. The wreckage was only 500 meters away, so that's about 5 football fields away. We couldn't see it because the visibility was so bad.
Flying under the vicious sandstorm with no visibility, Creel and Wrinkle made 2 harrowing approaches, knowing they too could crash at any time.
I was using an infrared light to shine out in front to where we could actually see where we were going. As soon as I got down, I centered all the controls, and I looked up to about where we're standing right here, and there were the survivors, no more than about 25 yards away.
Wrinkle landed safely as well. The survivors luckily weren't injured and were quickly picked up, but back in the air they came under attack.
As I'm descending down and turning behind that tree line, PJ on the right side, Matt Lay, he sees a what we believe to be an RPG go out the right-hand side. It was on a straight trajectory, missing the aircraft. In that turn, and almost immediately, Sergeant Silver, out my gunner's window, he sees 2 corkscrews come up from that town behind him and come towards the aircraft. Those having missed, we turned to the north to try to get some separation. Now everybody is up in the cabin looking outside to our rear to see if they can see anything coming. Sergeant Silver is now leaning out this window to look to the rear, and they identify 2 more corkscrews coming up out of that town.
They fired .50 caliber weapons at the enemy on the ground. The missiles missed, and they finally made it to safety.
I've flown in Desert Storm, flown in Afghanistan, flown in Iraq a couple times as far as deployments, and this one definitely was the top one, I would say, if you want to call it that, just based on the environmental factors that we had and the challenges, and also the enemy was out there in force trying to bring us down.
As McKay Trophy winners, Creel, Wrinkle, and their teams joined the likes of Chuck Yeager and James Doolittle in aviation lore. Casey Wyan, CNN, reporting.
After they're carried off the front lines, many troops wounded in Iraq are brought to a hospital in Baghdad. Military doctors and medical teams there work every day to save the lives of American troops wounded, often very severely, in combat. Ryan Chilcote reports from Baghdad.
Baghdad's Combat Support Hospital is about to get busy. Information on the incoming is scant, nuances important.
The report were 2-liter urgent, and it sounded like there was some nervousness in the voice of the people calling it in originally.
Colonel David Steinbruder is the on-duty doctor.
We won't really know until they get to the door.
And in a war zone, even the most seasoned doctor can be surprised at what comes through that door.
Holy crap!
The triage begins.
Thanks.
The walking wounded goes to a nurse.
I don't have a medic.
Next door in the ER, Steinbruner is beginning his initial check on the soldier brought in on the stretcher. At first glance, things aren't looking good.
He's real pale, guys.
Through an oxygen mask, though, the soldier manages to mumble a message.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Doctor relays it to the team.
Said, please don't let me die.
In return, he gets the doctor's word.
I promise I wouldn't lie to you. Don't you dare try to die on me, okay? I didn't give you permission.
He's just as honest when the soldier asks if he can save his leg.
I don't know. That I don't know, okay? We'll try to save it if we can, okay? But I just don't know. I can't give you an answer to that yet.
Also at the soldier's side, a chaplain. The anesthesia is administered, but the soldier still stirs.
Nah, we got to put him down though, guys. Poor guy's waking up through all this.
Then another call rings out. More are on the way.
2 more inbound, 2 minutes.
But for this soldier, it's too late. They've been doing CPR on him for a half hour. 5 minutes later, he's pronounced dead. In all, 4 soldiers were brought to the hospital after a bomb hit their vehicle. Private First Class Victor Vicente was behind the wheel. He's on the phone home. He doesn't tell his wife what happened to the others. That's the military's job.
I have a cut on my head, but it's not a big problem.
But he won't be going home.
Okay. Hey, I hate to tell you this, but basically you're RTD. Return to duty.
The casualties are separated only by curtains. There's little privacy.
Really not going to smoke for a little while. Yeah, that guy over there is getting a needle in his back.
Take this day and turn it into every day. You have Dr. Steinbruder's routine since he arrived in Iraq.
Now, it seems like it's been a long time, but it's only been, 6 or 7 months.
With this system of medical care, U.S. servicemen and women are now twice as likely to survive wounds that would have killed in Vietnam.
What have you pushed so far? You put a little fentanyl, you put that.
Today, that soldier is in the ER. The x-rays are back.
There's no free air.
And they're looking good.
Sweet. Sweet.
He's stabilized and ready for the operating room. Dr. Steinbruner's job is finished for now.
He may lose an arm or a leg. He may save it. I don't know.
But Steinbruner kept his promise.
He lost a lot of blood in the field. So, but he's a young, healthy guy, so he was compensating, and that's why he could talk and mentate and everything like that. But you could see the color of his skin. I mean, he was pale. He was definitely looking very, very sick. So now I'm going to take care of his buddy. Thanks.
Ryan Chilcote, CNN, Baghdad.
Coming up, one soldier's inspiring story. He says he's living the American dream by serving this country. Also ahead, a group of Marines wounded in battle find a new place to call home. And General David Grange will join us to talk about the American public's support for the war, the strain on our military, and the challenges that lay ahead.
Lou Dobbs Tonight, brought to you by the Royal Bank of Scotland Group. Make it happen.
He crashed that drive, and Jack picks up still another birdie. Birdie country again.
If he put together his best shots from every hole of the Masters, Jack Nicklaus would turn in a card of 48.
That's about as close to flawless golf as you'll ever see.
Bigger isn't always better. Dish Network packages start at just $19.99 a month, so whether you want a little or a lot, you can pick the one that's right for you. Pick your package, pick your price. Dish Network, better TV for all.
Here you go, Pete. Hey, Pat.
2 years ago, I had a heart attack. Right there where Tina is standing. If it weren't for Bayer aspirin, who knows?
To me, Bayer's an amazing thing.
Just think about it. The same Bayer aspirin I take for headaches
and me for backaches
helps save Pop's life.
Bayer is an important part of this family.
Always will be.
It truly is a wonder drug.
And try Extra Strength Bayer Back and Body. It rushes relief to the site of your pain.
Kerr-McGee delivers America's oil and gas where it wasn't possible or practical before. Like deep in the Gulf of Mexico, where Kerr-McGee platforms team with marine ecosystems. And in Utah's vast Uinta Basin, where production leaves wildlife undisturbed and blends into the landscape. From deep water to mountaintops, Kerr-McGee's delivering energy for Americans. Kerr-McGee, explore more.
Elizabeth Taylor, a Larry King Live exclusive. CNN tomorrow. International icon, legendary survivor, a one-of-a-kind dame with a lot of secrets to spill. Elizabeth Taylor takes your calls only on Larry King Live. CNN tomorrow, 9 Eastern.
Cast first in silent blindness, vilified. Cruel caricatures belie strength of character. Mocked by painted faces. From humor forged a battered shield. As restless feet found expression. Defiant pride inspiring. Spirits rise, eyes wide. Undeniable, irrepressible, unsatisfied. Turner Classic Movies presents Race and Hollywood, Black Images on Film. An unprecedented film festival detailing the representations of and contributions by African Americans in the movies. Every Tuesday and Thursday night in May, starting at 8 p.m. Hidden lights find eyes, only on Turner Classic Movies.
Welcome back. Tonight, we're paying tribute to some of the men and women who served this country proudly in Iraq, Afghanistan, and around the world. We have two remarkable stories of heroism. Two men who won one of this country's highest military honors, the Silver Star. We begin with Marine Captain Christopher Bronzy, who led his troops through a showdown with insurgents in Iraq. Peter Viles has his story.
Hey, save your ammo until you get a target.
April 6, 2004, the Marines of Gulf Company were badly outnumbered. Part of the 2nd Battalion, 4th Marines, they'd been sent to Ramadi to put down the rising insurgency. Captain Christopher Bronzy was the Gulf Company commander, confident his young Marines were equal to the task, but concerned about mounting casualties.
I was just trying to keep them focused on the fight at hand because every individual Marine, their combat power meant something.
As Bronzy led his men into the city, they were surrounded, outnumbered, at risk of being pinned down by small arms fire and rocket-propelled grenades. The firefight would last for 2 days.
I ultimately wound up echeloning my entire company into the fight, and because the fight grew, the numbers vary. I know the amount of enemy that we confirmed that we killed was well over 300.
In the middle of the shooting, Bronzy boldly put himself in the line of fire, leading a group of Marines into an exposed street to recover the body of a fallen comrade.
I was very proud of my Marines, especially with the intensity of the combat, how they performed. The entire company was in the fight on the first day. That night, they cleaned up their weapons, they restocked their ammo, and they went right back outside the gate the next day for virtually the same scenario.
Bronzy credits his men, but the Secretary of the Navy has now credited Bronzy for his leadership of those men. His citation describes zealous initiative, courageous actions, and exceptional dedication to duty.
That was the most professionally rewarding experience of my life because I feel like I saw the Marine Corps in its finest hour, at least my little piece of the Marine Corps.
Peter Viles for CNN reporting.
Captain Bronzy returned home safely in September of 2004 and continues to serve the nation in the United States Marine Corps. Now the story of Master Sergeant Sarun Sar. Sar was shot in the head when his Special Forces unit came under fire in Afghanistan. He survived and he went on to receive a Silver Star. Philippa Holland has his story.
Master Sergeant Sarun Sar fled war-torn Cambodia for the United States in 1981. He was 14 years old. He learned English, graduated from high school, and in 1985 joined the Army. A year later, he became a U.S. citizen.
Spent some time as an infantryman until I got my citizenship and clearance to attend Special Force training. Been in Special Force in 1992.
Last spring, during his second tour in Afghanistan, Sergeant Sar was leading a 12-man Special Forces team on an aerial reconnaissance mission in the mountains near the Afghanistan-Pakistan border. He and his team saw a suspicious building, and when their helicopters landed, they came under fire. With half his men pinned down by the enemy, Sar ran toward the building.
And the enemy command shot at me first from 7-10 feet with an AK-47. The bullet entered right here, knocked out my chin strap and left. Just kind of gave me a little ring in the head, but didn't kill me.
He and another soldier secured the building. They joined the rest of the team to defeat the remaining enemy forces. None of Sar's men lost their lives in the battle. For his heroism and bravery, Sergeant Sar was awarded the Silver Star.
Ladies and gentlemen, Silver Star winner.
It's an award to my team, not just me. And I feel that as a team, this is for us. And it's an honor.
Sergeant Sar could retire today, but he has no plans to leave the military.
Serving in the military is just my way of thank you for allowing me to be here, to be an American. And I personally believe it is a small price to pay. I would do it again if I'm 18.
Philippa Holland, CNN.
Master Sergeant Sar completed his bachelor's degree. He majored in American history. We wish him the very best. Well, coming up, the story of a third-generation military man who has dedicated 2 decades to serving this country. And Operation Helmet, how a small kit is saving the lives of our troops in Iraq and Afghanistan, and why it's private citizens provided them, not the military.
Turn off the Ambilight function on your Philips flat TV, and it's like going back in time. The only flat TV with Ambilight from Philips. You'll never go back to ordinary TV.
But I will tell you this.
place where you can get to know some of the most famous names in the investing business, where you can meet the elite, including some of the best and the brightest. At E-Trade Financial, be starstruck.
Only one news network has been the most trusted for nearly 2 decades. CNN. Still the most trusted name in...
Ever get the feeling your advertising is reaching the wrong people? Comcast Spotlight can help. With dozens of networks to choose from, you can run your message only on the shows your customers are watching. You can even target your message geographically to reach your customers where they live. Comcast Spotlight. TV advertising without the waste.
For more information, call our Portland office.
It's the Bursting Forth Festival of Flowers celebration at Pioneer Courthouse Square. This year's Festival of Flowers will include noontime musical entertainment, breathtaking floral beauty, and colors everywhere, and the beloved annual flower sale. Floral display June 9th through 22nd. Flower sale begins June 23rd. Sponsored by Pioneer Place, Hasla, Oregon, Comcast, Kink FM 102, and Portland Tribune. For more information, visit www.pioneercourthousesquare.org.
Body Parts, an all-new CNN presents Saturday and Sunday night, 8 Eastern.
Marine Colonel Ricky Grabowski is a more than 20-year veteran of the military. His skill and bravery in Iraq earned him a Bronze Star. Lisa Sylvester has his story.
Marine Colonel Ricky Grabowski's commanding officer has put him in the same league as General Patton. Grabowski led the 1st Battalion, 2nd Marines on the charge to Baghdad in the spring of 2003. Their mission, to seize the bridges of Nasiriyah, where all the major roads in southern Iraq converge. Military analysts said they would find light resistance. But instead, gunfire rained down on them.
First, you could hear a pop here and there, and then within like 10 minutes, it was like it was popping all over the place.
On March 23rd, they fought for 17 hours straight. Grabowski is a military man. He has spent more than 2 decades in the military as an enlisted Marine and as an officer. It's in his blood. One grandfather was a Marine, the other a soldier, as was his father. His training helped him lead even when communications broke down and his battalion encountered the unexpected. Outside of Nasiriyah, they came across members of the ambushed 507th Maintenance Company. They were told more American soldiers were trapped in the city.
You leave no one behind. And had those been Marines up there, and that had been an Army brigade or an Army battalion, they would have done the same thing for us.
They assisted U.S. Special Forces during the rescue of Private First Class Jessica Lynch. Grabowski received the Bronze Star with valor, but he wears it not for himself, but for his entire battalion.
We ask for your blessing, God.
18 of his Marines were killed in the Battle of Nasiriyah and 15 wounded.
And in the end, they were successful. Yes, we did pay a price, but we accomplished that mission. And that's the thing that I'll remember about those Marines and sailors, probably until the day I die, of what they did, their sacrifices and their service.
Lisa Sylvester, CNN.
The Marines who served under Colonel Grabowski in Iraq have received remarkable decorations. Those decorations include 2 Navy Crosses, 4 Silver Stars, and numerous other awards, including the Bronze Star. We wish to congratulate Colonel Grabowski for a job well done. Coming up, a unique military barracks for Marines who share an unfortunate common history. It's a barracks where wounded warriors can come together and help one another recover. And Operation Helmet, we'll talk to a private citizen who took it upon himself to improve on the military standard helmet. And we'll tell you how his idea is saving the lives of troops in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Go on a team building course, they say.
Get to meet other banks.
This is hopeless. We've got ourselves in a real quagmire here.
Actually, I think it's quicksand.
Ew.
Quicksand. First rule?
Don't panic.
Good. Anybody panicking?
No. I am.
All right, next steps. We're a team, right?
Right.
In accordance with procedural policy of my bank, I propose a risk assessment steering committee to assess the risk, composed of all interested parties with both advisory and practical powers, and that the committee should initiate an extraordinary meeting to bring the current situation to a swift and satisfactory conclusion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carried unanimously.
Less talk. Make it happen. The Royal Bank of Scotland Group.
Now, who would like to offer a vote of thanks? Bogdanovich. Well done.
Outspoken, defiant, the Dixie Chicks. CNN Wednesday, their first live primetime interview since they set fans off by taking on the president. The Dixie Chicks take your calls, only on Larry King Live. CNN Wednesday, 9 Eastern.
I'm Pete. I've had nice bosses, mean bosses, short bosses, tall bosses, she bosses, he bosses, they bosses, serious bosses, nervous bosses, and one kind of funny boss. Now I'm the boss, and my plan is to keep the boss happy.
You do what you love. We'll help you keep your investments on track. Fidelity Retirement Income Advantage. Call 1-800-FIDELITY. Smart move.
7th grade. What was this jumper made of? Naugahyde. You let me go to school dressed like a seat cover. You convinced me that it was groovy. Edna.
You know, I'm having this wedding here tomorrow, and your weeds are growing through the fence. Do you care?
Think of your fellow man. I see some things haven't changed. Put a little love in your heart.
Take this to Edna while I change into my garden clothes.
Why me?
Put a little love in your heart, and the world will be a better place. And the world.
You're crowding them too close together.
Edna, it's going to be a beautiful wedding.
Yeah, maybe.
Patience. Pass it on. A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
We continue with the special holiday edition of Lou Dobbs Tonight. Here now, Kitty Pilgrim.
Welcome back. Tonight we're honoring our men and women in uniform serving this country around the world. At Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, there is an extraordinary unit of troops who were wounded in combat. Instead of going home, they come together at a special barracks where they can learn from one another as they recuperate. Barbara Starr has the story from Camp Lejeune.
Just a couple of things.
This is morning formation for wounded Marines at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. They sit because some cannot stand. Glenn Minnie struggles with a Mother's Day card. A mortar damaged his eyes, but this medic is still the doc.
That's my job. I'm going to continue to do it as long as I can, blind or not.
In this remarkable place, Marines help each other just as on the battlefield.
I have a leg injury and I can't get my room vacuumed. Well, one of the guys would be like, hey, yeah, no problem, I got you. You're still required with a leg injury to keep your clothes picked up and all your trash picked up.
An IED left Gunnery Sergeant Ken Barnes with nerve damage. He knows Marines don't want to need help.
That's one of the things that's really nice about this place is you gotta say, hey, can you give me a hand? And they're immediately on it. There's 4 or 5 guys that'll be standing there waiting to help, but you gotta ask for it.
Sergeant Carl Klepper's ankle was crushed by a roadside blast.
We're all broken up. We're all beaten up here. But we're not broken. Our spirits aren't broken.
He helps me in math. We call him Sergeant K.
As part of their rehab, Klepper and others help at the base school. The Marines here today and these children have an unshakable bond perhaps only they can understand. Many of these young students now have parents serving in Iraq and Afghanistan.
The Marines help us think about what we can write about and what we can, so we can do good at math and writing.
Lieutenant Colonel Tim Maxwell has a brain injury from a mortar attack. He started the barracks so Marines could recover together.
They come here, stay for just a couple of days, and see other Marines who are wounded and how far they are in life, instead of going home with their mom and dad and wonder what it means to get shot in the leg. I don't know what that means in 3 months. Here, he'll see.
The Marines say this extraordinary unit will keep going as long as any wounded warrior needs a place to recover. Barbara Starr, CNN, Camp Lejeune, North Carolina.
Walter Reed Army Medical Center reports that head wounds are responsible for 65% of all injuries and deaths suffered by our troops in Iraq and Afghanistan. A simple helmet upgrade kit can prevent many of those injuries and deaths. Former Naval Flight Surgeon Bob Metters launched Operation Helmet to provide free helmet upgrades to our troops. Dr. Metters spoke with Lou Dobbs and explained how the project began.
My grandson was a young lance corporal in the Marines, and while he was being trained for convoy duty, a gunnery sergeant just back showed him the helmet with the upgrade in it. Said, "You guys need to get these because it could save your life." So my grandson called me up and said, "Check this out for me," and we did.
So you turned to some folks who designed those and built them, and why did you find it necessary to have to buy them for our troops?
Well, the Marine Corps didn't seem to have the funds to equip the helmets. They're authorized to get this upgrade, but there were no funds actually allocated for it. So we decided to step in as private citizens and do what we could to help fill the gap. And my grandson got his kit, and his rifle team did. They loved it so much, they said that we'd really like to have them, but we can't do it unless our whole company gets them. So we set out to equip 100 people to start with.
Right.
And now it's sort of grown from there.
Doctor, the number of lives that these helmets could save, it's a significant number. What's the Department of Defense's reaction? Why aren't they getting these helmets to our troops?
Well, the Army has done that. They made the decision 2 years ago to purchase helmets that have the same ingrown, or if you will, factory installed technology that we have. And they, however, have run out of inventory, so they're back to the old style helmet as well. The Marines say that they spent their dime on a new, more bulletproof helmet that works well for everything except IEDs and impact.
The leading cause of death,
the Air
of course,
Force simply.
Well, Doctor, where can people go who want to help you out and help our troops, particularly the Marine Corps over there, who still need this equipment?
Well, we have a website, operationhelmet.org, and we go into some length about what's happening and why it's happening and how we can help and what folks can do to help us. The American public has been absolutely great about responding, to the point that we've now sent over 6,000 helmet upgrades to the troops, which is a significant percentage of those on the front line in combat.
Well, Dr. Robert Metters, we thank you very much. All the good you're doing, our young men and women over there. It's always a pleasure to talk to an American like you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Lee.
If you'd like more information on Operation Helmet or to make a donation, the website is operationhelmet.org, or you can find that information on our website at loudobbs.com. Other high-tech advances are also saving lives in the war zone. A new bandage made of natural material is increasing the survival rate of troops wounded in the field. Jamie McIntyre reports.
We'll just have you warm up with the heat, loosen up your ligaments before we start cranking on you. All right.
Hopefully better than last time.
At Walter Reed Army Hospital, specialist Andrew Donahue is on a slow walk to recovery after taking a bullet to the knee in Iraq.
A few snipers in the surrounding buildings, and there's a little bit of a firefight, and I got hit.
Knee wounds are painful, but usually not fatal. That is, if medics can quickly stop the bleeding, which in Andrew's case they did, using a new high-tech bandage that is coated with a compound found in, of all things, shrimp shells.
I had no idea.
Do you eat shrimp?
I do eat shrimp.
Seth Grant is a former Army medic who went to work for HemCon, makers of the hemorrhage control dressing, after using its product to save lives in Iraq.
I think the thing that really turned me on to it, seeing it used, was
just how quickly it was able to adhere to the wound bed and stop the bleeding.
Uncontrolled bleeding is the leading cause of death from battlefield injuries. What makes the shrimp shell compound in the bandage so effective is that it becomes very sticky when it comes in contact with blood, quickly sealing the wound. Then it attracts red blood cells, forming a tight clot.
Here we can just pack a wound cavity and have it stop bleeding, which is a significant advantage and leads to a lot more survivability of the battlefield.
The Army says every soldier in Iraq has a bandage like this now. Even smells a little bit like shrimp, but the company insists it's safe even if you have a shrimp allergy. A new, thinner, more flexible version is coming to a local drugstore near you soon. And while this may seem like a small thing, it's advances like this that are a big reason more U.S. troops are surviving serious wounds in Iraq than in any previous war. Jamie McIntyre, CNN, The Pentagon.
Coming up, a 26-year veteran of the Marines deploys to Iraq for a second time with a changed outlook on the war. We'll hear his story and two of the harrowing experiences he survived. And troops on the border, can we sustain our commitments abroad and at home? General David Grange will join us.
Lou Dobbs Tonight is brought to you by BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
Beware of the idea killers. They say things like, "Let me play the devil's advocate," or "with all due respect, but." They have even been known to praise an idea and squelch it in the same breath. That might be too successful, Bill. At BMW, ideas are everything. And as an independent company, we make sure great ideas live on to become ultimate driving machines.
Last year, Norfolk Southern and its shipping partners took hundreds of thousands of freight loads off the highway. In fact, they've invested millions to convert even more traffic in the coming years. So it's easy to see how the economy won't be the only thing that benefits. Norfolk Southern, the future of transportation.
What happens if your latest product goes global in a single bound? Because we consider what might change tomorrow, our customers can feel more relaxed about what might happen today. Zurich, because change happens.
I'm Tracy Durfee, and this is my story. When the doctor said to me, "I think you have arthritis," I kind of sunk. I'm getting to the age where I'm starting to fall apart. The arthritis in my hand affects everything I do. People don't realize how often they use your hands. It's not just for working in the yard, just picking up a pen, shifting the car. Just living your life would sometimes just hurt. I depend on a leave. The leave really helps. It really helps. I can get through my everyday without being in pain. It's great. I take the leave and I keep going.
Honey! Get down! Get down! What is this?
We're the war movie from Netflix!
Wow, you guys got here fast!
Average deployment time for a DVD is about 1 business day! Incoming!
My wife was also expecting a couple of romantic comedies!
They got here when we did. I don't know where they are now.
There's a movie waiting for you at home. Netflix. All the DVDs you want, starting at only $9.99 a month, no late fees.
Meatball on white. Come on, I haven't got all day here. Next. While we're still young. Next. You told me you wanted mustard. Get out of here. Time's up. Back of the line.
Hey, excuse me.
What?
Great sandwich. Thanks.
Compliments. Pass them on. From the Foundation for a Better Life.
Al-Assad, Iraq. It's near the Syrian border. It's a forward operating base for American troops in Iraq. One Marine gunner at Al-Assad learned painful lessons on his first deployment to Iraq. And now he's back for a second deployment with a new perspective on the fighting. Alex Quaid has his story.
Chief Warrant Officer David Dunphy fought in the Battle of Nasiriyah 2 years ago. He's now in Al-Assad, his second Iraq War deployment.
So,
This is your Silver Star. Dunphy earned it for moving his Marines through Nasiriyah and dealing with a friendly fire incident.
I'm not any kind of hero. The Marines that I was with that day, they're the heroes.
18 Marines died that day. We were at their battlefield service.
There's grief, yes. It's heart-rending, yes. It's gut-wrenching, yes. But you have other Marines' lives at stake. I've got to focus on those other guys, the ones that are still walking around. So you learn from it.
Learn and live to fight again. Many in his platoon today were with him then.
In combat, you kind of just go to what comes natural. You have a job to do and you just don't think about it. There is no way you can prepare mentally for the horrors of combat.
His first week back, his vehicle hit an improvised explosive device.
There was a bang. All I remember is the bang.
So
apparently.
the armor plating on the Humvees saved your lives, but,
Saved our
you
lives.
were injured.
We were injured, but everybody walked away. Welcome to Iraq.
He says insurgents are making bombs from stockpiled ordnance like what he showed us 2 years ago.
You cannot fathom the amount of ordnance that was just everywhere. And you can imagine now the things that we're dealing with are those same issues. This whole country was an ammo dump, and we are cleaning those things up as we find them.
What is the most important thing for Americans and families back home to know about Nasiriyah and the lessons learned there?
Ask the people that are here doing the fighting and doing the dying, and you will hear from them that they feel the mission is sound. They understand why they're here. They understand why casualties happen, because that happens in doing a tough job like this.
Dunphy expects a third tour in Iraq next year. Alex Quaid, CNN, Al-Assad, Iraq.
Chief Warrant Officer Dunphy has been a Marine for 26 years. He plans 4 more years before he retires from the Corps. We wish him well. Well, another one of the men doing a difficult job in Iraq is Lieutenant Colonel Ross Brown. Brown and his soldiers patrol the streets of what is known as the Triangle of Death. They're looking for the #1 killer of U.S. troops in Iraq, roadside bombs. Anish Rahman reports from northern Babel province, Iraq.
Informant. Come here, Strobel. Listen up, please.
Like the soldiers he commands, Lieutenant Colonel Ross Brown suits up daily, trying to rid his area of roadside bombs.
Whenever you roll out of the gate and you're out there operating, you don't know if you're going to hit one of these or not.
The first stop today is Route Tampa, some of the worst stretch of highway in what's called the Triangle of Death.
Assalamu alaikum.
Where these stall owners, Brown's told, are aware of impending attack.
Did you know in advance that the IED was going to go off near here? Tell him to look me in the eye. Tell me that again. He's lying.
It is a fine line to walk, routing out information without creating new enemies, battling an insurgency that kills at will, that turns civilians into accomplices.
I think they're scared to death. I think they see us as temporary and they gotta live with those people forever.
Finding friends locally seems the toughest part of Brown's strategy, but his next task proves just as difficult. Here, the lieutenant colonel has stopped at one of the firm bases, one of the areas that Iraqis are manning their own position. The commander on duty emerges out of uniform, and the lieutenant colonel struggles to find progress.
They didn't do too much work yesterday. They didn't do too much work the day before. They haven't done too much work since they've been here.
Brown is unsure if this unit can survive an insurgent attack. Uncertainty shared by the U.S. forces as well, each soldier with his own way to cope.
Hey Morales, you carry anything special with you on mission to help you out?
Roger. Carry my wedding ring, a bracelet my wife sent me. Carry a Bible. Psalms 91. Patron angel, archangel.
I carry this little packet my kids gave me. See what my daughter, Daddy, I love you, I miss you, be safe, come home ASAP.
Oh, that's neat.
Isn't that cool? All right, let's go.
Hey, what about the other?
Overhead helicopters are responding to an IED attack that moments ago killed Colonel William Wood, the highest-ranking U.S. officer to die in combat in Iraq, a personal friend of Brown's, an added personal reason why tomorrow he'll be suiting up again. Anish Rahman, CNN, Northern Babel Province.
There are 130,000 American troops in Iraq, and there are 23,000 in Afghanistan. Hundreds of thousands more deployed around the world this Memorial Day. More than 1 million soldiers have died protecting this country's interests. And joining me now is General David Grange. General, with so many of our troops deployed, what do we as Americans need to appreciate about the significance of Memorial Day?
Well, I think what's important here, Kitty, is that American soldiers from all services have committed and sacrificed lives for the last over 200 years from the Revolutionary War on, and we continue to do so today. And it's a commitment that sometimes we forget about when we have a 3-day, 4-day holiday that goes around, let's say Veterans Day, Memorial Day, 4th of July, those type of things. But in this case, specifically Memorial Day, which is in honor of those that have given their lives.
Let's talk about Iraq. 2,400 dead in Iraq so far. Do you believe that the country is willing to continue this incredible sacrifice?
Well, the nation has the will to commit and to continue to commit as it has for over 200 years. But what the people are concerned about is its most precious resource, its people, that they send into combat. And that will is only maintained to continue with a war like this if, one, that they believe that it's worth it, that the leadership has a comprehensive plan to accomplish that mission, and that they're resourced properly for success.
General Grange, as our viewers look at the news stories, especially this week, we're seeing a world that's extremely troubled. We have tensions with Iran, North Korea, a nuclear buildup, Chinese military building up. We look like we're living in an increasingly dangerous world. What do you think that we should do to prepare for that in terms of our military?
Well, the preparation not only is physical, in other words, having the most modern equipment that fits the most probable conflict at hand in the future, or in the future, but also that we are mentally prepared that conflict's going to continue. We're not going to have a pause of 10, 20 years, let's say after or near the end of Iraq or Afghanistan. This is going to happen while we're still in the last engagement of Iraq. And it may be tougher than the situation we're in now. And so to protect our interest or other interests that are our allies, we have to be prepared mentally that this is going to continue. And it's part of the world the way it is, and someone is going to be called on to sacrifice. Whether you believe in it or not, it will happen. And so we have to be mentally prepared. That's the most important part.
Do you believe we're structurally prepared?
Are we structurally prepared?
Yes.
I think that there's still some items in the military that may be antiquated, that may be Cold War type things that we're not adapting as fast as we can for what is behind the second and third hill that we may expect to encounter. And so it takes a constant, especially with as fast as the world goes today, a constant analysis of what is the type of resources and structure required to take on the threats to this nation.
General Grange, we hear now that some of our National Guard is being deployed to the southern border of this country. National Guard is used heavily in conflict at this point. Do you believe that we can do both?
I believe we can do both if we put the mix of forces, the proper mix of forces with those specific tasks. For instance, I believe that the National Guard should be focused, number one, their priority, on border security, on our homeland defense, not overseas. That should be a supplemental requirement. And we have to be very savvy in how we task organize, both at home and abroad, to take on these threats.
General David Grange, thanks for joining us. Coming up, a father and son go to war together, but one almost doesn't come home. And later, wounded troops say goodbye to their home away from home and look to begin a new tradition. Those stories and a great deal more still ahead.
This is 10% luck, 20% skill, 15% concentrated power of will, 5% pressure, 50% pain, 100% reason to remember the name.
The ultimate showdown for supremacy in the West continues. MVP Steve Nash and the Suns take on Dirk Nowitzki and the Mavericks. The road to the championship goes through the Western Conference Finals. Coverage continues only on TNT.
We need them. They need us. And we need you. The USO. Until everyone comes home.
Let's talk about Oregon and trees. and houses, jobs, recreation, about clean water, about logging, and Oregon's landmark forestry laws. Oregon law requires planting after harvest, so new trees grow. The law protects habitat for fish and wildlife, and it requires buffer zones to protect forest streams. Find out more. Rediscover Oregon's forests.
Hello, I'm Matt, and welcome to McCann's Pharmacy.
Everyone is so friendly at Good Neighbor Pharmacy. The service here is really fast.
I just got my prescription filled in a couple of minutes.
I don't have to wait in line, it's not crowded, and I can zip right in and out.
I like the pharmacists.
Everyone's so nice.
Join the run. Stop in now and enter to win passes to Hellgate Jet Boat excursions.
Thanks for visiting McCann's Pharmacy in King City.
Ever get the feeling your advertising is reaching the wrong people? Comcast Spotlight can help. With dozens of networks to choose from, you can run your message only on the shows your customers are watching. You can even target your message geographically to reach your customers where they live. Comcast Spotlight. TV advertising without the waste.
For more information, call our Portland office.
This is not a hobby. This is a way to stand up against the big phone company. But nobody should have to pay high phone bills. As a last resort, I will use the arrow. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. Halt! Phone company varlet!
Fight back against high phone bills.
Freedom!
Save more than 13% over the phone company with Comcast Digital Voice. It's Comcastic.
A Larry King Live exclusive, CNN 9 Eastern.
I'm Maria Cabrera. I work for San Diego Fire Rescue Department, and I'm a fire captain. 9/11 again was difficult, not only for the entire country, of course, but particularly for firefighters. Our extended family members, 343 of them were killed. We sent an urban search and rescue team to go and help the victims. The people that stayed here, which was the majority of us, were glued to CNN stations. The most popular news station during any catastrophe that I've witnessed has been CNN.
Well, there are about 100 Army generals who have sons or daughters serving in Iraq or Afghanistan. For one family, father and son both served in Iraq, but the son almost didn't make it home. Barbara Starr has the story of the Odierno family.
Linda Odierno watched both her husband and son go off to war in Iraq. But soon after her husband came home, the phone rang with dreaded news. Their son Tony had been hit.
When I heard about Tony's injury, all I could think about was, how is he feeling? How much pain is he in? And how he's doing. And
Tony was struck by a rocket-propelled grenade during a routine patrol in Baghdad.
First one they shot hit my vehicle. It went through my door, took off that arm, and it killed my driver.
Bleeding uncontrollably, one arm shot off, Tony climbed through the gunner's hatch and tried to help his buddies before he collapsed. It was courage any father would be proud of, especially the tough general who had commanded the 4th Infantry Division, a division responsible for Saddam Hussein's capture.
I think it hit home when Tony got hurt, but it is different when you're a father. I mean, he's my son. As a parent, you almost feel sorry for yourself initially. At least I did. And then when I saw Tony, I didn't feel sorry for myself.
The Odiernos say it was actually their son who kept them strong as they watched him recover. Tony and his dad now have adjoining Pentagon offices. Tony is the personal aide to General Peter Pace, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. This young man wants other amputees to know they will get better.
Sometimes when you look at your injuries, it's just hard to look at first, because you're not used to your new body yet, and it's hard. And then one day you realize that I can still live a great life. I can still live that, whatever I want to do.
And the general finds his life changed by what happened to his son. Now, when he talks to parents of other wounded soldiers,
we talk as parents. I don't talk as a general to a parent. I talk as a parent.
Barbara Starr, CNN, the Pentagon.
Tony, in fact, returned to the battlefield before his father. He went to Baghdad several months ago, where he served on a brief military assignment. Up next, as a special tradition for one group of wounded troops comes to an end, they look for a way to carry on together. That special report is next.
In this modern world of super technology, you know what really gets under my skin? When a wireless network. So I switched to Singular's all-over network, the network with the fewest drop calls. And Singular didn't say that. The leading independent research company proved it. So if you keep and get Singular.
Singular, with the fewest drop calls, raising the bar.
More than just a washing machine, the LG steam washer refreshes clothing and reduces wrinkles with the rapid power of steam. Surprising as, fresh as, innovative as LG. LG, life's good.
This is Paul.
Guys, not in the house.
He backtests moving averages differently than Raj, who drags and drops nothing like Anne, who trades options a lot more often than Hal, who places conditional orders differently than George, who celebrates in his own special way. And thanks to Fidelity Active Trader Services, they all get power, price, service, no compromises.
Let's go.
Trading with Fidelity. Smart move.
Major protests and rallies in many other cities.
Anyone should be given the opportunity to follow the American dream.
Stop. Are you okay? They're running after us, so we do have to keep going. We've got to keep going.
Tonight, Elizabeth Smart speaks out.
Nobody should have to go through that.
We heard about some Americans who aren't waiting for the government to finish building a bigger fence here.
We want our border to be secured.
Closed captioning hours sponsored by CB Richard Ellis.
From financing the sunglasses manufacturing plants to leasing its retail stores, CB Richard Ellis, your business partner for all your real estate needs.
We told you 2 years ago about a special tradition honoring our troops returning from Iraq and Afghanistan. The owners of Fran O'Brien Stadium Steakhouse in Washington, D.C. have been serving free dinners to troops severely wounded in battle. Now the restaurant has lost its lease, but the troops are not letting go of the tradition. Jamie McIntyre has the story.
It would just be another landlord-tenant dispute, except for who is caught in the middle. America's war wounded.
That's fine.
For 2.5 years now, these steps have led to a haven for healing. Fran O'Brien Steakhouse, tucked in the basement of the Capitol Hilton in Washington.
The dinners are like inspiration and motivation for us. It's, from my personal view, it's like a home for me.
What volunteers started in 2003 to thank wounded veterans with free dinners has grown into a Friday night institution, where along with the steaks come heaping helpings of emotional nourishment.
It's therapeutic to get out, and especially in this environment, because it gives them an opportunity to be out with people that have gone through a lot of the same things they've gone through.
I would sit down next to an amputee and didn't have any legs, or even if he only had one leg, maybe he didn't have his prosthetic yet, but I told him, hey, this is the deal. I get your food, you cut my steak. And he goes, not a problem.
Donations from various organizations cover the tab, and everyone from Vietnam-era veterans to government bureaucrats like Paul Wolfowitz have become part of the therapy.
I can actually tell you that they didn't just save my life, they're saving all these soldiers' lives.
But the dinners ended last month when the Hilton evicted the restaurant in a dispute in which each side blames the other. Even as everyone agrees the dinners must go on.
These guys have done good work. We support the veterans, but it's all about conditions in terms of a lease.
The hotel at first offered to take over hosting the dinners, but the restaurant owners and the volunteer who came up with the idea in the first place insist they'll find someplace more accommodating.
I think the soldiers and Marines will keep that spirit going.
And that's not in dispute. Jamie McIntyre, CNN, Washington.
We thank you for being with us tonight to honor the spirit and dedication of all our men and women in uniform on this Memorial Day. For all of us here, thanks for watching. Good night from New York.
To our viewers, you're in the Situation Room, where new pictures and information are arriving all the time. Standing by, CNN reporters across the United States and around the world to bring you tonight's top stories. Happening now, U.S. troops at war on two fronts. Memorial Day marked by new bloodshed. It's early Tuesday in Afghanistan and Iraq, where Americans are targets of rioting and insurgent attacks, and CBS News journalists are caught in the crossfire. Also this hour, burying war dead and crossing the line. It's 7 p.m. here in Washington, where President Bush took direct action against a group that's been